Hello guys, and welcome again to this awesome stream. Welcome everyone, so please subscribe and follow me. This is going to be an awesome game. Welcome everyone to the stream, and I hope you guys will enjoy. And for the 2025-2026 season of the Premier League is Brighton versus Manchester City, live on Robotic Maniac. Get your seats, get yourself ready. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Who's gonna win? Let's find out. And who will be going home with the 3 points? And who will be going home with nothing on them? Or should I say, who will be going home with 3 points? Or who will be staying in their own home to get the 3 points? Let's see who will win. Brighton versus Manchester City, live on Robotic Maniac. Here we go.
Blocked, falls to Marmouche. Starts for Manchester City today. The ball is played back to Stones. Started against Tottenham, Marmouche, but only got 54 minutes of the game. Things weren't going Manchester City's way, so off he came. Rodri's laid it off to his right-hand side. Nunes to Bob. Nunes continues his run just outside the Brighton area on the right. Then he is challenged, and the ball goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City. Jack Hinchelwood with the tackle. So Brighton have Bart Verbruggen in goal. Veltman, Jan-Paul van Hecker and Lewis Dunk as the two centre-backs. Maxim de Kuiper at left-back. Carlos Baleba and Jack Hinchelwood in midfield as Brighton win themselves a goal kick. Yankuba Minte, Karu Matoma, the two wingers, and Diego Gomez playing off Danny Welbeck, who's not scored in 21 Premier League games against Manchester City for any of his clubs. And Manchester City playing from right to left in this first half at the Amex. James Trafford in goal, Matheus Nunes, John Stones, Abdulkadir Huseinov and Ryan Ait-Nouri. Rodri in central midfield, long ball downfield from Verbruggen. Header is won, Reinders nods it to his right, and Bernardo Silva tries to bring it down. Challenge on Hinchelwood, penalised. Free kick to Brighton. Manchester City, Oscar Bob on the right, Marmouche on the left, Bernardo Silva and Tijani Reinders in behind Erling Haaland, who makes his 100th Premier League appearance. Just the 87 goals in the 99 games so far, the quickest to the highest number in 100 games. Closest challenger, Alan Shearer back in the day, 79 goals, but 87 in 99 is formidable.
I think Alan Shearer's record is excellent, whereas Haaland's is just off the chart, isn't it? I mean, that's how we're looking at it.
Danny Welbeck's won the ball on the halfway line. Brighton player is down hurt, but the attack continues. Great sliding challenge by Huseinov. Made up the ground quickly, slid in on Minte. And still, it's Diego Gomez who is down. Brighton broke play up on the halfway line. Looked like a possibility of a handball by Welbeck. The referee didn't see that. Video assistant referee this afternoon is Paul Tierney. Diego Gomez, understandably, is in some pain. And Fabian Hürzeler is in the ear of the fourth official here, Simon Hooper, and it looks like he's pointing at the monitor as if to say, come and have a look. I think that's what the body language is saying. He's very unhappy with the challenge. I think you're right, Mark. I don't think Reinders has gone in there to try and hurt Diego Gomez, but he has gone in, he's missed the ball, and he's caught him above the boot.
No, I think he's played the ball, hasn't he, Reinders? He's played the ball, and as he's played it, he's followed through as Gomez comes across, goes over his ankle, so like into his ankle, and it's the follow through that is looks really bad, a bad challenge. I mean, it's a difficult one. It's going to be a really interesting call if they have a look at, well, obviously going to have a look at it. Gomez is in a lot of pain.
Yeah. Well, VAR heavily involved in the Premier League football yesterday. Your former club, Fulham, Mark, had the goal ruled out for Rodri Muniz with a careless tackle where he trod on the foot of Chalobah. We're going to have another look here. Reinders hits the pass, and then the follow-through of his right foot, yes, catches Gomez high. Gomez still down receiving treatment. Let's check in on the Formula One. Dutch Grand Prix is underway. Harry Benjamin with an update for us.
Having a good points haul here. However, Charles Leclerc will be desperate to get past the French rookie and try and keep himself in the hunt for maybe a podium position. Lap 3 of 72, Oscar Piastri leads.
Commentary continues over on Sports Extra. As you can hear, that is the Dutch Grand Prix overall standings. Oscar Piastri 9 points ahead of his McLaren teammate Lando Norris. Diego Gomez is back on his feet. He's making his way slowly to the touchline. What have you spotted, Mark, in the interim?
Having watched it on a number of occasions, I just don't know what Reinders is supposed to do, because he plays the ball and it's the follow through. It's all about timing, and I don't think Reinders actually does anything wrong other than where his foot ends up. It's one of those ones. It's such an unfortunate situation. It looks horrible, but Gomez looks like he might be okay to come back on again.
Yeah, which is good news for Gomez. And Fabian Herzler not happy with the challenge, but I think I agree with you, Mark. I think they'll have looked at it, and I think they have made the right decision there. I was quite struck by Scott Parker's comments after Burnley's defeat at Old Trafford last night in his post-match interview, just talking about the involvement of the video assistant referees, saying it's made the game sterile and theatrical, and very soon the game will be refereed by robots. Scott Parker, not a fan. Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, and of course Nottingham Forest West Ham underway in the Premier League. Commentary of that game at the moment. You have a choice of listening this afternoon. It's over on Sports Extra 2. No goals at Ibrox in our first commentary of the day. It finished Rangers 0, Celtic 0, and we're keeping an eye on the Swiss Masters Golf as well this afternoon, because Matt Wallace is going great guns. He's trying to get himself into Luke Donald's European Ryder Cup team, the Ryder Cup at the end of this month. Trying to give him a difficult decision to make as Brighton attack down the right-hand side, and Minte won't keep that ball in play. He punches the corner flag in frustration, which goes rocking back and forward like a punch ball there. Then gets back into its upright position, and Manchester City get the goal kick. So 8 minutes in, Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, and Diego Gomez is moving about freely back on the field, which is good to see. Paraguayan, who they signed from Inter Miami back in January. This only his 5th Premier League start. He's coming for Matt O'Reilly today. Should have mentioned as well, Jorginho Ruta is available. He's on the bench for Brighton. Manchester City with Marmoush playing it through to Haaland, stretching away from Brighton defenders. Left-footed shot is very weak, straight at Verbruggen. His couple of touches before he hit the shot there, Mark, didn't help him. And then there's a little bit of argy-bargy with Jan-Paul van Hecke, who may have had a word after Haaland missed the shot.
Yeah, as Haaland takes the shot, he mishits at Haaland. And as he mishits it, Van Hecke then pushes him, gives him a shove in his back. Haaland then turns around and walks basically straight into him. Obviously, they're having words. Walks straight into him. Van Hecke's side on, barges right into his shoulder. So it's nothing really. It's just a bit of Haaland telling him, right, I've got you now.
Yeah.
You give me a shove in the back.
Bit of posturing from a couple of tall, muscular, blonde fellas in football kits here at the Amex Stadium. 9 minutes in, Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. Haaland will be fuming, actually, that he's missed it. What a chance that was.
It's a big chance, really big chance. If he showed a turn of pace, the ball kind of never quite got out from underneath his feet, and he seemed to really struggle to get it in his stride. And then right at the last moment, as he takes that shot, I think, again, the ball's a little bit too close to him, and that's why he scuffs his shot.
Veltman under pressure there from Ait Nouri. The ball's gone right underneath his right boot as Brighton were trying to play out, so that's going to be a throw-in to Manchester City. Ait Nouri holds the ball in both hands above his head. He, of course, went off injured early against Spurs in the 2-0 defeat last weekend, but has recovered and is starting in the left-back position. Stones strokes a pass into midfield, laid off by Reinders to Husinov. Back to the Dutchman Reinders again with the swept-back jet-black hair, the Musketeers moustache for the Dutch international. Husinov again on the move up to the halfway line. Finds Marmoush, loose pass from Marmoush. Husinov has to scurry to keep it in play and comes all the way back to his goalkeeper. Trafford takes a touch. Danny Welbeck comes towards him. Trafford bobbles a pass to his right. Stone's under a bit of pressure, goes for a little dribble here. Mitoma's not that close. Finds Husinov, back to Trafford. Trafford with his left foot. Clears high down the left wing for Manchester City. Veltman tries to bring it down on the half volley. Bundled into by Marmoush. And that is going to be a free kick to Brighton. Let's check in on the Formula One again. Harry Benjamin.
Yeah, after 6 laps of racing, Oscar Piastri with a lead of over almost 3 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen, who has managed to get himself in between the two McLarens. Lando Norris down to 3rd with some rain expected imminently.
10 minutes in here at the Amex Stadium. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Back-to-back Premier League commentaries this afternoon at 4:30. We've got Liverpool against Arsenal. This is Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. Marmoush moving at speed inside the City half. Sliding challenge, he was caught. Free kick Manchester City. and no one of the Brighton persuasion agrees with that. Lewis Dunk comes charging forward to have a word with the referee. Hurtzler furiously turned on his heel and has come stomping back to his seat in the technical area. While we wait for the City free kick, let's just check in for the first time in the first half at the City ground. Charlie Slater's watching Nottingham Forest West Ham.
10 minutes gone, 0-0 here. West Ham with a chance through Fulkrug from a corner kick. His header going just over the crossbar. Forest attacking down the left now as Gibbs White tries to cross it into the 6-yard box. Puts it into the side netting instead. 0-0.
Mark Schwarzer, you were wagging a finger at me there.
Well, Darren England then just lets himself down because I think it's a really poor decision. And I think he reacts because of Marmoush's reaction. He allows play to continue. As Marmoush then is sort of like rolling around on the ground, that's then when Darren England blows his whistle. You see it on the replay, it's actually a clear challenge and a good challenge, and Brighton should have had possession. There should have been play on.
Marmoush managed to deceive the referee. Mitoma's won it for Brighton, feeds it infield to Danny Welbeck, middle of the Manchester City half. Bob tries to get back to him. Welbeck to Hinshelwood to Belaber, he's lost it. Here's Marmoush again, running freely. Lewis Dunk gets in his way, gets a foot on the ball and passes that to De Kuyper. De Kuyper zips one up the left-hand touchline. Great first touch from Mitoma, and Nunes went flying behind him, trying to keep his balance. The Brighton fans enjoyed that. 12.5 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. Brighton, who took 4 points off Manchester City in the Premier League last season, beat them 2-1 here in November. Here they come down the left-hand side. Mitoma outside of the right foot, looking for that first-time ball beyond Minte, and it runs all the way out for a throw-in to Manchester City.
Yeah, poor delivery from Mitoma. Someone of his quality, you'd expect a really good ball into the box. He had Welbeck running into the box, almost free Minter as well, and he just overhits the ball. It goes out for a throw-in. You can see Fabian Hurtzler is not happy because he knows that it was a great opportunity to get a good delivery in that 18-yard box.
Youngest manager in the Premier League, hands on hips. One of them has now gone up to rub his stubbly chin. Challenge made by Diego Gomez. The ball goes out for a Manchester City throw. Just took a slight risk there because once it had gone out of play, he swung a right boot at the ball and just launched it high into the stands. And occasionally you can get the yellow card for delaying the restart. But I think at 0-0, 13 minutes in, and Manchester City with no real urgency there. The referee, Darren England, has decided not to do that. Marmoush back to 8 Nouri. Manchester City trying to play out. They've lost it. Welbeck lays it back to the edge of the box. Bob is there for City. Back to Nunes. Nunes overhits his pass down the right-hand side. Bob chases in vain. Throw in for Brighton just inside their own half on the left.
Yeah, what's pretty evident at the moment inside these first 15 minutes of the game is obviously both sides want to press high. They both want to not allow or put pressure on the ball when either side are trying to play out at the back, and that's forcing errors from both sides as well. Both sides have been quite sloppy in their build-up, and that's because of the pressure from each other's opposition, right? So that makes it so difficult to play out, and it's an intriguing battle.
Brighton starting the day 18th in the Premier League on 1 point. Manchester City 11th on 3 points with the win at Wolves. Early goal in the derby, Dundee United, Kenny Crawford.
And it's the visitors who are celebrating. 14 minutes gone, Dundee 0, Dundee United 1, and it's Zach Sapsford, the Australian striker, grabbing his third of the season at the near post, tucking it in from close range after Lucas Stevenson's cross. It's Dundee 0, Dundee United 1.
Finished Rangers 0, Celtic 0 in our first commentary of the day on 5 Live Sport this Sunday afternoon. Chris Sutton will be on 6:06 tonight. I know he was at the game, so we'll certainly want to hear from Rangers fans and Celtic fans. Chris and Robbie taking the calls tonight after our commentary on Liverpool, Arsenal at Anfield. Van Hecke flying into a challenge here. Reinders, Haaland is down. Both Manchester City players writhing around on the floor. Lewis Dunk again just comes forward to defend his team. Yellow card is coming out for the challenge, which I think Van Hecke made. Van Hecke's disappeared back into his own half. It's Van Hecke who comes sliding in, doesn't get the ball, and he takes Reinders out.
Well, I think he committed the first foul, didn't he, on Haaland. The referee played an advantage because it looked like City were going to regain possession, and then Van Hecke just continues his run, slides in, and he's just a little bit late. I mean, it's nothing bad about the challenge, but it is a late professional foul, and therefore he gets a yellow card.
So Van Hecke's going to have to be a little bit careful in the battle against Erling Haaland now on the yellow card. Free kick for Manchester City, 15 minutes in, 0-0.
There's also a little bit of animosity here on the benches. Pep Guardiola running up to the fourth official saying, and also sort of showing or actually asking the Brighton bench to come and complain about that challenge by their own player. He wasn't happy about it. Obviously that relates back to the Reinders challenge on Gomez.
So Dundee United 1-0 up at Dundee. Nottingham Forest and West Ham goalless. Brighton and Manchester City goalless in front of us here. Hertzler claps his hands together, wants his team to get into defensive shape. Husanoff brings the ball forward, long way forward, then looks for a little layoff to Reinders. Minte onto it on the right-hand side, chased furiously by Marmouche, who just edged him off the ball. Rodri was there to help, passes it to Stones, and Stones sweeps it across the field to Matheus Nunes. Bob picks up possession on the right-hand side. Only managed 6 appearances last season for Manchester City because of injury. Has started all 3 Premier League games this season. Young Norwegian international. Here's Husanoff, who scored an own goal at the Etihad last season in a 2-2 draw against Brighton. He's passed the ball back to Stones. Stones is at walking pace. Pep Guardiola is now out to survey the action at close hand. Hands in pockets, throws a left arm out as if to say to John Stones, why didn't you pass it there? Then he makes the point to Stones again, who does hear the manager, flicks his head over his shoulder, but the ball is back with goalkeeper James Trafford. And of course it was his pass out from inside his own penalty area that cost Manchester City the second goal against Tottenham. I say his pass, it's all about the movement in front of him as well, and giving him the options, but Tottenham were onto that quickly, and that's how they got their second goal. City are trying to open Brighton up down Brighton's right. Husanoff has it just inside the Brighton half. Here's Rodri, thinks about the diagonal, comes back to the left, and Husanoff again, well forward, rolls it to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri doesn't take on Minte. Minte's happy with that. Back it comes to Husanoff, into the feet of Marmouche. Marmouche theatrically tumbles to the floor, and Belabor is standing above him, looking down at him and saying, well, what happened there? He may have caught him ever so slightly. Marmouche back on his feet as the Manchester City build-up continues. There's Reinders, and they recycle it back to the halfway line again. Bernardo Silva has dropped deep to get it moving. John Stones striding forward, slides a pass to his left to Husanoff, into the feet of Rodri. Rodri out wide to Ait Nouri. Ball spins between his feet. Minte's strong, takes it off Ait Nouri. He's gone down holding his left ankle. No free kick. Tries to nick a ball through to Welbeck. Welbeck to Mitoma. John Stones has his arm in the air for offside, not given. Mitoma shot Trafford. Gets a really important hand to the ball, down low to his right, and tips it behind for a corner. Best chance of the game so far.
Yeah, brilliant play from Brighton. Really good counter-attacking football, winning the ball high up in in their own half, and then countering City very quickly. Mitoma gets in a really good position there. He has to take a touch, wait for the defender to come back across him, and then he picks his spot into the corner. Trafford at the time is kind of out of position. He's quite high, but his reaction is exceptional. He gets his hand down to his right-hand side and tips it past the far post. So really good save. And I think he's just a little bit fortunate because of where he was standing.
Mark Schwarzer played as a goalkeeper in the Premier League over 500 times. With us for the commentary this afternoon as we wait for the Brighton corner, which the Paraguayan Diego Gomez is going to take. Duncan Welbeck stands shoulder to shoulder, faced up by 2 Manchester City defenders just inside the area. No one really on the goalkeeper Trafford. Now the run start. Ball is curled into the near post, headed away, nodded forward by Mitoma, drops into the arms of Trafford. Nice easy catch, and wants a quick release. Volleys it high in the sky. Marmouche is the furthest forward for Manchester City. Bouncing ball is awkward there, but extremely well dealt with by Belabor, who nods it back to his goalkeeper, Bart Verbruggen. Brighton 0, Manchester City 0, 20 minutes into the first half. Dunk, who's making his 489th appearance for Brighton this afternoon, so just 11 short of an amazing 500. As Verbruggen thumps it high downfield with his right foot. Stones leaps, heads it away. Silva cushions a little header onto the chest of Nunes, takes a couple of touches to bring it under his spell, passes back to Stones. Mitoma closes in. They go back to goalkeeper James Trafford. He whips it away with his right foot. Bob can't quite control it, but it turns into a pass to Marmouche, and that's a clever little hook over the shoulder from the Egyptian. Minte back with a good challenge on Ait Nouri. Brighton fans enjoyed that throw in Manchester City. Dutch Grand Prix latest, Harry Benjamin.
Oscar Piastri leads the Grand Prix after 14 laps of racing, but now Lando Norris has overtaken Max Verstappen and has got himself up into second place and is now closing down on his teammate. Verstappen left adrift now in third. We're still waiting for some rain to arrive, though, as the strategy continues to unfold here in Zandvoort.
Thank you, Harry. Don't think the rain's coming in here anytime soon. Sun is shining, blue skies above, fluffy white clouds as well. Brighton fans energised and excited as their team bring the ball forward down the inside right channel with Veltman. Veltman to Minte. He's not had a chance to run at 8 Nuri yet. Passes it down the right. Veltman's not going to get to that. Husinov has it covered and lets the ball run at a play for a goal kick. So we're almost quarter of the way through the game. What have you made of it so far, Mark Schwarzer?
Well, it's an intriguing battle, like we said earlier on, about the two teams wanting to play out at the back. Both sides want to defend put a high press on, prevent each other from playing out. There have been quite sloppy play at the back at times. City have actually played the ball a lot longer, more often than they usually do. So there's a slight change in the way that they play. So it's fascinating how it's unfolding at the moment. Obviously, the best chance of the game would have to probably have fallen to Brighton, but Haaland did have a good one, didn't he? Haaland, you'd expect at times to get a far better shot on goal than the one he did. So yeah, at the moment I think it's pretty even. Yeah,
one golden opportunity apiece, and the keepers making saves each time. Dundee United 1-0 up at Dundee. Nottingham Forest West Ham commentary is over on Sports Extra 2. Last we heard it was 0-0. We'll check in there shortly. Next break in play here. The ball is thrown back to Van Hekke, who's now on the yellow card for Brighton, to his centre-back partner Dunk. Forward to De Kuyper, one of the Brighton summer signings, attacking Belgian left-back. He's played plenty of Champions League football over the last couple of seasons. Forward it comes from Van Hekke to Gomez. First time layoff to Minte. Minte swings the ball from right to left across the field. Great vision, but Mitoma's offside. It's going to be a free kick for Manchester City, so Charlie Slater can tell us what's going on at the City ground.
22 minutes have been played. It's fairly flat. It's still 0-0. There was a big shout a few moments ago for a penalty when Kyle Walker-Peters challenged Callum Hudson-Odoi inside the area. VAR will have checked it, no doubt. Lasted around 35 seconds or so and ruled that there was no infringement. So a corner kick instead, which came to nothing, and it's still 0-0.
Highlights tonight, all the Premier League highlights. Match of the day, BBC 1, 10:30. Kelly Cates in the hot seat this evening. Wayne Rooney and Joe Hart for company. Joe Hart, who's also going to be on the Monday Night Club tomorrow night from 7 o'clock with Mark Chapman and the team at 9 o'clock. More Ryder Cup chat as we build up towards the Ryder Cup, which will be in full on 5 Live and BBC Sounds at the end of the month. It's 4 weeks today, in fact, that it will be the Sunday singles at the Ryder Cup. Hotly anticipated. Matt Wallace trying to get in that European team. Going well in the European Masters this afternoon. Luke Donald will announce his 6 wildcard selections tomorrow, so he will be on 5 Live Sport tomorrow evening. Don't miss that. Bob on the turn for Manchester City, slides the pass into Reinders. Clever layoff. Haaland's left-footed shot just wide of the right-hand post, and again didn't quite catch it how you'd imagine he wanted to.
Yeah, it's really good play. Firstly from Oscar Bob, really direct play, wins the ball into the Brighton half, and his first ball is forward, even after a couple of strides with it at his feet. He looks for it. Reinders, really nice one touch off to Haaland. Haaland, the edge of the box. You expect him to do so much better, don't you? Even just to test the goalkeeper. And I know the bar is so high because we're talking about Erling Haaland here, but someone of his quality has to do better.
Yeah, it's one of those can at that pace sort of roll into the bottom corner if they're perfectly placed, but I don't think he meant to strike it like that. And the first chance as well, again, not sweetly hit. Not like the second goal he scored against Wolves, which was absolutely emphatic. Reinders finds Silva. 8 Nuri, space on the left-hand side, stands the ball up to the far post. Haaland attacks, good save for Bruggen. Headed it straight at him, but Verbruggen had to get there quickly. Brighton have managed to scramble it away. Nunes comes again for Manchester City. Haaland denied again. Step over from Silva, back to the edge of the box. Rodri curling ball. Haaland attacks it up against Van Hekke, heads it wide. This time it's going to be a goal kick. 0-0.
Yeah, brilliant chance for Manchester City. Again, it starts from Mamouche this time, and Mamouche's work rate is exceptional. Every time City turn over the ball, he's the first person to react. He wins the ball back and then sends 8 Nuri down the left-hand side. His ball to the far post is a sort of a hanging, drifting ball, and Haaland is the one that first gets to it. Verbruggen, you think it's going to end up in the back of the net. Verbruggen makes the distance up really quickly and puts on a really good block, and they clear the danger. Very, very close for City to going 1-0 ahead.
That sort of ball mark is perfect for the centre forward, particularly someone like Haaland. As a defender underneath that, you know he's there, you know he's getting the run and the leap on you. It's so difficult to defend.
It is, it really is, and I think not only for the defenders themselves, but also for the goalkeeper. That ball, because you're lined up to deal with anything kind of in that near post area, and once it gets floated towards that far post, you're turning and making your way towards it, and it's difficult then to maintain your balance and your direction without going one way or the other, and I thought Verbruggen did really well.
Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. One brilliant save from James Trafford to deny Mitoma. Verbruggen equally good to prevent Haaland scoring with his head, so the chances have come for Haaland, 3 of them already in the game. Shirt tug from Mitoma on Bob, referee didn't see that. Bob went down to make the point, doesn't get the free kick. Baleba gets onto the ball for Brighton, comes to the left to De Kuyper, looking for the run of Hinchelwood, passes just beyond him. Hinchelwood, of course, a winner of the Euros with the England under-21s in the summer. Excellent season here for Brighton last season, 22 Premier League starts and 5 goals. What a ball that is from Rodri. Bounces once in front of Aït-Nouri. Minte's back there and gets there in time to get a block on the ball, and out it goes for a throw-in.
Yeah, Minte's recovery is excellent as well. He got caught out a little bit there. Aït-Nouri had the run on him, but Aït-Nouri had to try and bring that ball down, control, and that time when he takes that first touch, that's when Minte gets back and makes the challenge. Good defending.
Just 3 defeats at home for Brighton in the Premier League last season. Very good record here. Unbeaten against the teams that finished in the top 5 as well. They beat Liverpool here in May, once the title had been won. Beat Manchester City and Chelsea. Draws against Arsenal and Newcastle. The ball has gone out for a Manchester City corner. 27.5 minutes in. Reinders. Mark and I were having a good listen to him pronouncing his name. It's a tricky one because he sort of says Reinders, doesn't he, properly in Dutch. So I can't do it quite as authentically as that. So I said to Mark, I'm going Reinders. I think it's more Reinders than Reinders. But I think it's probably somewhere in between. Anyway, he's about to take the corner for Manchester City. Left arm he holds in the air, delivers it with his right foot, in swinger. Van Hecke gets a head on it, Marmoush volleys it over the bar from a tight angle into the Brighton fans behind the goal. Brighton 0, Manchester City 0.
Yeah, Marmoush should have peeled off of that far post area as the ball gets whipped in. A really difficult ball to deal with in that near post area, and it's well defended from Van Hecke. He gets a header on, so it can't control it, and that's where it pops up to that far post area. Marmoush sort of off balance a little bit, has to try and hit it on the side volley, just can't keep it down, but there's a decent chance.
Verbruggen's got the ball at his feet, out to Dunk looking for De Kuyper. De Kuyper wide on the left for Brighton, chips it forward to the halfway line. Gomez bumps into Rodri. Rodri's taken a whack to the head, he's going to need attention. Free kick to Manchester City. Was it Gomez just sort of bumped him with his shoulder?
No, I don't think it's a free kick. They're both going for the ball, and I don't think either of them are looking at each other, and it's just a coming together with the heads there. You can see, yeah, there you go. I actually think Rodri, it's the ball that hits Rodri, because he kind of gets a little bit of a nudge as they come together, and then he loses track of the ball, and I think the ball actually slaps him in the side of the face.
Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. Nottingham Forest and West Ham, last we heard, was goalless, and last we heard in the Dundee derby, Dundee United were 1 up away from home. Kenny Crawford.
29 minutes gone, still Dundee 0, Dundee United 1, but a brilliant chance there for the home side to equalise. Simon Murray, who used to play for United, was put clean through, and he tried to lob it over Kucherenko, but he got a palm on it just to get it away. So it's still Dundee 0, Dundee United 1.
Rangers 0, Celtic 0 it finished. We had commentary on that at 12 o'clock with Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin. Rangers had a goal disallowed for offside by the video assistant referee. Highlights of the Scottish Premiership action on BBC Scotland at 7:15 this evening. Play back underway here. The ball's beyond Haaland. Dunk towards Mitoma. Tricky one to control. Hinchelwood finds De Kuyper. De Kuyper passes back to Verbruggen. Haaland comes sprinting towards him. Verbruggen floats one out to the left, and De Kuyper heads it up in the air. Can't keep it in play. And Hertzler seems a bit disappointed with Verbruggen's delivery to his left back there.
Oh, I thought it was a brilliant delivery, I have to say. De Kuyper, I mean, it's slightly... OK, De Kuyper is running backwards, runs out a bit of room, but I think considering the angle, the pressure on the ball, I thought it was a good ball.
Yeah. Easier said than done, Fabian. Hertzler's back on his feet in front of us. You've got to be careful, actually, in this commentary position, because you are very, very close to the Brighton bench, the subs and the manager. So if it goes quiet, they can almost hear you. Here, chance for Brighton, cut back from the left-hand side. Minte chests it down, nods it into the box. Rodri is there, stoops, nods it to his left. It was Reinders, in fact, who got the important header in there. And Ait Nouri swings a left boot at it, clears upfield. Haaland's there. Van Hecke's just got enough on the back pass. It's lucky Verbruggen was so close to him there. Verbruggen hurtles in, clears downfield, and Trafford catches it in the Manchester City penalty area.
That was a close one. It was the fact that Verbruggen was so high up. He was waiting. He anticipated the pass. And because he was so high, even though it was slightly under-hit, the pass from Van Hecke, he kind of doesn't quite get it properly. Haaland was onto it like a flash, but the goalkeeper was just that little bit quicker.
Full commentary on Liverpool-Arsenal here on 5 Live later on. Kicks off at 4:30. John Murray and Dion Dublin with that one. Villa Palace tonight at 7 o'clock, so updates of that into 6:06. Minte, driven ball up to the halfway line. Might be a handball there by Diego Gomez. No. His pass then blocked by Bob. Belieber throws himself in to win a header. Husinov hooks it over his right shoulder. Silva nods it up in the air. Really scrappy stuff at the moment. And then Hinshelwood tries to get the ball under control, under pressure from Bob. Gets it down, side foots it to Dunk. Dunk back to Verbruggen, the Brighton keeper, shirt untucked, all in orange. Van Hecke, low pass to Veltman, further ahead of him down the right. Back to Van Hecke, closed down by Marmouche. And Van Hecke's pass goes astray, doesn't find De Kuyper. That's a throw in Manchester City.
That's that pressure, isn't it? Again, you know, Brighton are trying to play out at the back. They're not afraid to knock it long, but most of the time they're looking to try and play their way out of danger. But City, they want to keep a high line. They want to put pressure on the ball. And they've forced Brighton into so many errors.
13 minutes remaining in the first half. Manchester City have taken their throw. They're working the ball intricately on the right-hand side. Stones back to Rodri. Middle of the Brighton half now, across to Husinov, in for Ruben Dias in central defence this afternoon. Looks confident on the ball there, as Belieber tried to get it off him towards Marmouche. Touch to get him away from Minte. Starts gliding across the Brighton half. Curling pass with the right foot. Hits a Brighton player. Skills from Gomez in his own half. Little flick past to Minte. Ait Nouri's back in. Wins the ball off Minte. Rodri quickly onto Reinders. Manchester City trying to turn defence into attack as quick as they can. Bob brings the ball up to the edge of the area. Left-footed pass. Finds Marmouche. Little touch trying to make space for the shot. Might run to Haaland. Flicks it home. The flag stays down. And Erling Haaland, on his 100th Premier League appearance, just does what he normally does and finds the back of the net. The chance presents itself, flicks it over Verbruggen, and it's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, really good finish from Haaland there. Just a turn of pace from a standing position. The ball pops through, and as the ball pops through, Haaland just accelerates from a standing position exceptionally well, and he's the one that gets there ahead of Verbruggen and is able to just dink it over, toe poke it almost over the goalkeeper and in the back of the net. We'll have to see the replay to see if it is onside. Yeah, he's miles onside. The turn of pace from Haaland is brilliant. It really is. As the ball gets played in behind, Marmouche does well. Ball sort of ricochets. Marmouche is trying to play the ball through himself, and in doing so, the ball goes through a player's leg from Brighton, and that's where Haaland just accelerates. Brilliant.
Yeah, instinctive from Haaland. Couple of chances today when he didn't make the proper connection. But that is a striker at his sharpest, because as Mark says, Marmouche, you think, is trying to dribble and tee himself up. The little push forward turns into a pass, and Haaland has timed the run perfectly. Brighton defenders standing still, and then presence of mind just to scoop it over the keeper. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Brighton get the game back underway. Someone has crashed out in the Dutch Grand Prix. Who is that, Harry Benjamin?
It is the 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton, who we have to say has had a rather slow and clumsy crash into the left-hander of turn 3, found the wall and is stricken Ferrari now in pieces. He's out of the car, he's okay. That's brought out the safety car on lap 25. Piastri and Norris benefiting, they still lead this race.
Commentary continues over on Sports Extra. Nottingham Forest West Ham is on Sports Extra 2. We've got a stoppage in play here because Matheus Nunes has been hurt. He's on his feet, not a head injury, hobbling here inside his own half. Brighton fans, you can hear, frustrated.
And rightly so. I don't understand at all why the referee stops play. There's no reason to. It was clear that it wasn't a head injury. It was a foot, and as it is, there's nothing wrong with him. He's up. It was more about trying to win a free kick.
Just for the record, 100 Premier League appearances, 88 goals for Erling Haaland. And possibly still more to come this afternoon. Drop ball on the halfway line. Manchester City get it back, and you can hear the Brighton fans getting a little irate. Bob is trying to turn away from Hinshelwood, fouled by Mitoma. Bob grabs the ball with both hands as he's on the floor. No doubt about that. Free kick for Manchester City, leading Brighton 1-0. Here's the Dutchman Tijani Reinders out to the Algerian international Ryan Ait-Nouri. Reinders again, Rodri. Ball just circling around the Manchester City players in the black shirts as the manager Pep Guardiola points towards the Brighton half. Back to the goalkeeper in the bright yellow kit, that's Trafford. Sees Reinders in space, he's able to find that pass, and now Guardiola waves the team forward. Reinders takes on Minte, beats him, passes to Marmoush, falls into Marmoush. Brighton fans thought there was a handball there. Marmoush is still dribbling, doesn't see a way past the blue and white striped shirts, plays back to Husinov. Last 10 minutes of the first half. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Brighton 1, Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Haaland, the goal scorer. 3rd goal of the season after 2 against Wolves at Molineux on the opening day. Rodri, Husinov, Marmoush. Back to Husinov on the halfway line. Gomez is there to put the pressure on. Husinov just runs past him. Ait-Nouri now. Back to Rodri. Brighton have just forced Manchester City back into their own half, but City passing it around at will. Players in space, finding their man, keeping Brighton moving. Trafford on the edge of his penalty area, the keeper, to Rodri. Rodri's confident enough to hold Welbeck off, turn, play it back to Trafford. Trafford on the edge of the 6-yard box, to his right to Stones. Cross here to Bob, who's deep in the right back position because Mateus Nunes has popped up in midfield to chest it down. De Kuyper gets a foot on the ball. Bob is there. De Kuyper this time wins it, tries to get away down the left. Manchester City have it with Bernardo Silva. Rodri, first time ball, intercepted, falls to Minte, 35 yards from goal. Haaland steps in to help out, and suddenly Marmoush is on the dribble, flying towards Brighton defenders, crosses the halfway line, stopped in his tracks for a second, and eventually Lewis Dunk gets in and wins it back for Brighton. Mark Schwarzer.
Yeah, too much for Marmoush. I mean, the problem is he's running down the middle, Haaland's running next to him, Oscar Bobb's literally 5 yards to his right. There's just no one making a run in an area where Marmoush feels like he can lay the ball off. I think what he needs to do sometimes is just put his foot on the ball, come back out again. It's just that they're winning the ball quite high up and they feel like there's an opportunity to counter Brighton, and therefore they're looking to go really direct. But too many players are making exactly the same run at the moment.
Van Hecke's high diagonal out towards Mitoma, who's able to bring that down. Plays the ball back to De Kuyper, into the feet of Mitoma again. Manchester City have the bodies back behind the ball. Here's Hinshelwood with the blue socks rolled down. Strokes it back to Van Hecke. Everything's slowed down for Brighton here. 7 minutes left in the first half, plus a bit of added time. I imagine we'll be at Anfield for our first little bit of preview ahead of our commentary at 4:30. Liverpool against Arsenal in the company of John Murray and Dion Dublin. Here's Belabor. Belabor floated past to the left, spinning ball, bounces in front of De Kuyper, controls it, moves away from goal, and comes back to Dunk. And the Brighton fans want a bit more pace, urgency, penetration here. Dunk zips it to Van Hecke, and then you can hear the Brighton fans getting a little frustrated with that. They've come all the way back to Verbruggen. Verbruggen is going to go long and left. Nunes wins the header, nods it back in field. Mitoma reacts, chests the ball down. Mitoma has support on the left from De Kuyper. De Kuyper on his right foot gets the cross in, back across the edge of the area. Ait-Nouri gets a foot on the ball. Marmoush is there, turns it to Rodri. Rodri under pressure from Diego Gomez, but holds him off. Fouled. Manchester City free kick. Let's get the latest on Nottingham Forest West Ham. It also kicked off at 2 o'clock in the Premier League. Charlie Slater.
Approaching the 40th minute, we've just had our first real chance of note in this game. Lovely break for West Ham down the left. Fernandez pulled it back to Paqueta. First time, fired it goalwards. Drew a brilliant acrobatic save out of the goalkeeper Matt Sells to push it behind for a corner kick. 0-0.
Commentary continues over on Sports Extra 2. The Dutch Grand Prix is on Sports Extra. Sports Extra 3. Finals day at the 100 women's final. 2:15 start it was this afternoon. Southern Brave against the Northern Superchargers, and then the men's final at 6 o'clock tonight on Sports Extra. That's the Oval Invincibles against the Trent Rockets. It reminds me as well, England's men back in action, one-day international on Tuesday at Headingley against South Africa. 12:45 Sports Extra for that. Brighton trailing Manchester City 1-0. Bernardo Silva deep in his own half. Finds Stones. Stones with that elegant long stride brings the ball upfield. Bob makes a little run. Bernardo Silva in between the two centre-backs. Ball at his feet. Welbeck backs off. Pass to Husanoff. Back to Silva. Silva across to Stones. Stones looking for options. Short pass to his left to Silva. In the centre circle to Reinders in the pink boots. Back to Stones. Stones teasing Brighton players towards him. Finds Rodri to his right. Rodri out to Nunes. Quickly on down the line to Bob. Quick feet. Beats Dunk. Bob looking to get the cross in. De Kuyper knocks the ball into Bob. It goes behind for the Brighton goal kick.
Oscar Bob's turn there was brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, he's got the ball. He just drops the shoulder, turns, and then turns the opposite way. Lewis Dunk, it was almost like taxi for Lewis Dunk. He went right. Oscar Bob went left.
Yeah.
It was quite amusing, but great bit of skill.
Yeah, slightly embarrassing for Lewis Dunk, but
well,
no danger for
I
Brighton.
say that, but it could easily happen.
Oh, yeah.
It just looks fantastic from Oscar Bob.
Yeah, kind of player as well, Mark, Oscar Bob, that you've sort of forgotten about. Wasn't really involved for Manchester City last season. Suddenly starts. I mean, he started well last season before he got injured, but just another player. You know, not a signing made by Manchester City, but you think, oh yeah, they've got him as well, and he's obviously won Pep Guardiola's favour at the start of this season. Phil Foden not involved today. Neither is Savinho. Neither is Ryan Shirky. Gvardiol is still out, as is Kovacic as well. Dunk prods the ball back to Verbruggen. Oh, Haaland nearly got to him there, and Verbruggen's pass only finds Marmoush trying to turn on the edge of the Brighton box. Lays it back here to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri belabours there. Ait Nouri gets the cross in at pace. Volleyed effort from Rodri, miles off target. Nearly volleys it out of the stadium. And behind it goes for the goal kick.
Wow, that was so close. Haaland almost with his second goal of the game. Verbruggen there, as he gets the ball back, he wants to put it back on his right foot. And as he does so, Haaland is so he takes that touch. Haaland just puts down the gas again, and he is literally inches away from making the block. And that's inside the 6-yard box. That would have most definitely have ended up in the back of the net had he have got a touch.
Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Closing stages of the first half. Steve Crossman back with you shortly on 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. We've already had full commentary of Rangers 0, Celtic 0 at Ibrox. De Kuyper heads it back to Verbruggen. Dundee United are 1-0 up at Dundee. Doesn't sound like there's been too much goalmouth action at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 0. Van Hecker at walking pace as Manchester City back off, and then Silva starts the quick-fire press. And Brighton are able to play through it this time. They find Veltman in space on the right, so Reinders has got to chase back. Veltman finds his path blocked by Ait Nouri. That turns into a wrestling match, and the referee, Darren England, eventually decides, in his black currant coloured top, that is going to be a free kick to Brighton.
Yeah, that's where Brighton have really struggled today so far in this first half. They've just been smothered. Every time they try and play out at the back, trying to get something going, Manchester City just swarm all over them.
Trafford clears for Manchester City. Really important save early in the half from him. Matoma got played through, slightly out of position, Trafford, but got down very well to his right to make the save.
It was an excellent save, it really was. Yeah, you could say, I did say he was out of position. I felt slightly out of position, but it doesn't matter because the reaction was exceptional and it was a brilliant save.
Here's Baleba, left-footed pass just beyond Minte. He was trying to get away down the right. Now it goes for a throw-in. So how much added time are we going to have at the end of the first half? Fans in front of us just making their way out, which means our view is slightly obstructed for a second or two, waiting for Simon Hooper to lift the board in 10 seconds or so. Ait Nouri is waiting to take the throw. Manchester City comfortable with the 1-0 lead, so no need to rush here. Darren England says, right, come on, get on with it. Ait Nouri still holds the ball above his head. Now he throws it towards Haaland. Haaland turns, Veltman. And then Veltman, as Haaland's on the floor, kicks the ball into Haaland. Haaland loves that sort of stuff, has a little word while he's on the floor. Marmoush sticks up for Haaland. Don't think he really needs to do that. 3 minutes added time, Brighton 0, Manchester City 1.
I just think Haaland doesn't forget.
Yes, I agree.
He looks at you and you're thinking, right, he's lining you up. Wait, you're going to get it.
Yeah. Van Hecker's on the list. Veltman's on the list. Look at him. He's coming across now, isn't he? To have a word. Yes.
I'm telling you, it's just, he's got that look in his eye when someone, I mean, he does it always fairly. He just lets them know, right, okay, yeah, this is for that kick earlier on. That's for that shove later you did on me before as well.
He's the goal scorer. Clever little flick finish with the left boot. Added time at the end of the first half in the sunshine at Brighton's Amex Stadium. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Stones down by the dead ball line, his own dead ball line on the right. Oh, that's clever from Reinders. Then he's tugged back. Brighton saw an opportunity to win the ball there, but there was a foul on Reinders. So Manchester City get the free kick. What do you think Pep Guardiola will have made of the first half display from his team, Mark?
Well, a couple of times, or sort of quite a lot of times actually in this first half, he's been a frustrated figure, because mostly when the ball goes back to Trafford, I've noticed, Trafford on occasions has played long. He wants him to play out no matter how much under pressure. He's signalled quite a few times to play out, and then when they do play out, they don't play out wide enough for him. You can see that Guardiola's getting frustrated. Aït-Nouri so many times has been free, and the play just does not come to him.
Brighton fans jeering because Danny Welbeck went down, and they felt there possibly was something in that. Play continues. Minte looks to get on the end of something. It's volleyed forward by Veltman. Minte chases again. Trafford says, my ball, out of his area, leaps, heads it. Aït-Nouri chests it down. Bernardo Silva's behind him. This is coming our way. High spinning ball into the stand just beneath us. Almost down the tunnel that goes. And that'll be a throw in for Brighton. 1 minute of added time remaining at the end of this first half. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Veltman waiting to take the throw for Brighton. Guardiola with the arms crossed, pacing in front of us. Van Hecker receives it from the throw back into his own half. Crashes a pass back to Verbruggen. Controls that nicely, the Dutch goalkeeper. Head up, looking for the long delivery downfield. Last attacking opportunity of the game, but nothing is going to come of that, because it goes sailing over the heads of the Manchester City defenders and falls at the feet of James Trafford.
I think part of that's a bit of frustration as well from the goalkeeper, because of the fact that every time they've tried to play out, Manchester City have just swarmed them, forced the error, won the ball high up, and then all of a sudden there's a counter-attack. So it has been a first half where Brighton have really felt frustrated, not being able to play out and play their game.
Trafford's played the ball downfield. Baleba returns it, bouncing ball. Aït-Nouri facing his own goal. Minte nips in behind him into the penalty area. Husanov is there. Minte gets the ball back across goal. No one there for Brighton. Mitoma was trying to close that ground to make it up, to give himself a chance right at the end of the first half. And the referee, what's he saying here? We've got a Brighton player down. Minte is down, having made that cross inside the Manchester City penalty area, and he's saying to the Brighton medical staff, get on as quick as you can. Minte is down, holding his head.
Yeah, I think there was maybe Aït-Nouri possibly. I mean, he's the one over with him. May have inadvertently connected with him with his boot, maybe. I'm not sure. On his head, I'm not sure. When he went down, possibly. But Minte did so well, didn't he? Aït-Nouri tried to. He was waiting as the ball was bouncing over his head. He tried to wait and try to do like an overhead to clear the danger. And Minte is the one that then gets in just before it, wins the ball, does ever so well in the 18-yard box as Husanov comes across, turns back inside. Here we see it again. Oh yeah, there is a boot to the head when Aït-Nouri tries to clear, tries to do the overhead.
Yeah, Minte takes the sort of glancing blow to the head, kept going, great chop back and got the cross in, and then has felt the after effects of the blow, and quite rightly Brighton are taking every care with him, so he's flat on his back. Half-time whistle is going to blow any second. The half-time whistle has blown at the City ground. Charlie Slater.
Forest 0, West Ham 0, just the one chance to speak of really. It came 5 minutes or so before the break. West Ham debutant Fernandes putting the ball on a plate for Paqueta, drew a quite brilliant save out of Matt Sells. At the other end, Forest created very little. At half-time, Forest 0, West Ham 0.
Half-time at Dundee as well in the Scottish Premiership. Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, half-time Dundee 0, Dundee United 1. United head coach Jim Goodwin said pre-match he was glad to have Zach Sapsford back in his starting lineup after an ankle injury, but warned he wouldn't be 100%. But the Australian striker certainly looked up to full speed in the 14th minute when he was on his toes and sharp enough to meet Lucas Stevenson's low cross and tuck it away at the near post for his third of the season. Dundee 0, Dundee United 1.
Aberdeen, Falkirk, Hibs, St Mirren kick-off shortly. Half-time whistle blows at the Amex Stadium. Fabian Herzl not happy about something. In conversation with the fourth official, Simon Hooper turns away, throws his arms out in frustration, and it's Manchester City Mark Schwarzer who have the lead from a typical bit of Erling Haaland brilliance.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the turn of pace from that ball popping through from Mamouche looking to try and get himself through was exceptional. Beats the goalkeeper to it. The goalkeeper had no chance because of the fact that Haaland was so quick. I mean, they've really closed Brighton down very, very well, and then forced, numerous errors in trying to play out the back. Brighton have never really been able to get going in this game.
Erling Haaland disappears down the tunnel to our right-hand side. He's unfurled the full length of the hair in conversation with one of his teammates. Few boos for our referee, Darren England. One brilliant save from James Trafford to deny Mitoma at 0-0. But it's Haaland's goal, his 88th in 100 Premier League appearances, that separates the two teams at half-time. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1.
If it's possible, I think he even looks scarier when he takes the hairband out, doesn't he? Mark, the double issue for Brighton here is that, as has been the case in the early part of this season, they don't look like scoring.
No, they don't. And I think part of that is, in this game in particular, obviously trying to play out at the back, not having the opportunity really too often. There's a couple of times they got out, but they've had to be absolutely precise. Once they beat that first initial press, then they've got a bit of space. Then going forward, they don't seem to have the options, the runners. Then it breaks down in terms of they turn back out again, allow City to get back and defend. They've struggled with that. At times, the only joy they've really had is that ball over the top. And that's the difficulty. They're relying too many times with that ball over the top. And at the moment, City have dealt with that pretty comfortably.
Thank you very much, you two. So, the first goal of our commentaries this afternoon, that one from Erling Haaland. We've already had Rangers 0, Celtic 0 in the Old Firm. It's Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 0 in the Premier League. You'll get second half commentary of that on Sports Extra 2. Before we're back to the Amex for second half commentary of Brighton versus Manchester City, we'll keep you up to date with the Grand Prix, which you can listen to right now on 5 Sports Extra. Oscar Piastri leading his McLaren teammate Lando Norris 37 laps in. On Sports Extra 3, you've got Finals Day in the 100 as well, available to listen to right now. We'll keep you up to date with the European Masters Golf as well, and the rugby, and we'll be at Anfield for the first time ahead of Liverpool Arsenal in full on 5 Live at 4:30. We'll do all of that after the news with Nick Hatfield. In the final of the Women's 100 right now, Southern Brave batting first, 57 for 3 off 52 balls. You can listen to full commentary of that right now on Sports Extra 3. What's happening in the Grand Prix in the Netherlands? Harry Benjamin.
Well, after a safety car intervention for Lewis Hamilton, who crashed out in his Ferrari, it's Oscar Piastri back out in front, leading this race. Lando Norris in second, 1.5 seconds back, and being told there are no other options for him. If he wants to win this race, he's going to have to overtake his teammate on the track. Max Verstappen lies third, with still a small threat of rain in the air here at Zandvoort.
And you can listen to full commentary right now on 5 Sports Extra. Let's get a bit more detail on what's going on at Lords right now. Henry Moran.
61 on the board for the Southern Brave, unbeaten in the group stages, 8 from 8. 55 balls have been bowled. They've not exactly got away from the Superchargers. It's nothing like the game we saw yesterday. All those runs scored in that Superchargers eliminator win over the London Spirit. Kate Cross took 2 wickets and 2 balls to remove Maya Boucher and Laura Wolfart. Danny Wyatt is the other wicket. But out in the middle, Sophie Devine, the experienced New Zealander, is playing very nicely indeed, looking to build a partnership with Freya Kemp. The Southern Brave going into the game probably as favourites given their performance in the group stage. Find themselves in a reasonably strong position, 61 from 55, but they do need to accelerate.
And that one is on Sports Extra 3 right now. Sports Extra later on for the men's final at 6 o'clock, Oval Invincibles against Trent Rockets. Luke Donald will confirm his team for next month's Ryder Cup tomorrow afternoon. England's Matt Wallace has an outside chance of being a captain's pick. He's currently leading the European Masters. Ian Carter.
Yes, he was, but Tristan Lawrence with a birdie at the 12th after Wallace came within an inch of sinking his birdie putt just a few moments ago, Steve, means that the Englishman is now trailing. He's 20 under par, Lawrence at 21. Of course, South African has absolutely zero interest as far as the Ryder Cup is concerned, but Luke Donald will like what he's seeing here. Rasmus Højgaard, who you remember a week ago snatched his automatic place in the team, he's just had an eagle at the 14th. He's up into third place at 19 under par, 7 under for the day. Matt Fitzpatrick's on this leaderboard as well. He's the favourite for what we think is the one remaining captain's pick, but Wallace is trying to get into that conversation, and so too is Marco Penge, who's having a very good weekend as well, and he's in the group at 14 under par.
Thank you very much, Ian. In the Women's Rugby World Cup, it finished Ireland 43, Spain 27, half-time in the second game of the day. So it's the defending champions New Zealand 38-5 up against Japan. You can watch that one live on iPlayer. Italy, South Africa kicks off in York at 3:30. That one is also available for you on iPlayer. Earlier today, Rangers and Celtic played out a goalless draw in the Old Firm. This comes after they were both dumped out of the Champions League earlier this week. So Celtic are top on 10 points, joint with Hearts. Rangers 7th, still looking for a first league win under Russell Martin. Let's hear from the Celtic manager, Brendan Rodgers.
I don't think it was a good game at all, if I'm totally honest. I think positive for us, yeah, we've defended well in the main over the course of the start of the season, not giving much away, been very resolute, all these things that you need, which is a positive. I don't think we had any shots against us on goal, so come to Ibrox, that's always a positive, but our offensive game is nowhere near the level that I would like it to be at. So that's my 7. I'm sure it wasn't a great watch, and sometimes they never are, these games. They can be so tense, but I thought it was a game that lacked quality.
Can you put your finger on why your offensive threat isn't anywhere near the level that you want it?
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons. I think we've obviously lost players that connected the game for us, and of course then when you go through a spell of games and you're not scoring, then it can affect the other guys, and they don't quite make the forward pass and they play the safe pass. I think that creativity has obviously come out of the team, and we need to find those connections again. Obviously Kieran and Bally and these guys coming into it, they play differently to what we've had before, and we've also got other players to reintroduce into it. So I'm fairly confident that we will improve, but definitely we have to, because it's that is not the Celtic way of playing.
Brendan Rodgers there talking to BBC Radio Scotland. Our 4:30 commentary here on 5 Live in the Premier League comes from Anfield. It's Liverpool versus Arsenal. Correspondent John Murray and Dion Dublin, both there for us. Salivating, John, this one?
Yes, very much so. I just saw someone earlier as I was heading into the ground, and the feeling was, as he was saying to me, it's a match you come to and you really don't know which way this is going to go, and that's exactly what you want when you come to watch a football match.
Should say we will obviously get the lineups from you around 3:15, but it's not just the two teams where the personnel is interesting today.
No, it's not. And actually, just on that front, in terms of the teams, just to mention that Martin Odegaard has been spotted with the Arsenal party that has travelled here to Merseyside. So we may see him involved in some shape or form. Obviously, they'll be missing Bukayo Saka. We have to wait and find out if Eberechi Eze is going to be in the Arsenal starting lineup. But you're right, yes, there's a change in the officials lineup, and that was Michael Salisbury was due to be the video assistant referee for this match, as he was for Chelsea Fulham yesterday, but the PGMOL have announced that they've made a change to the match officials, and Michael Salisbury has been replaced for this match by John Brooks. And that's actually caused a bit of a knock-on for the Aston Villa Crystal Palace match later. A couple of changes for the officials there as well. However, I think you don't have to be a genius to work out that the feeling is that perhaps there was an intervention yesterday that was unnecessary, and that's something that they talk to us about on a very regular basis, the PJMOL and Howard Webb, how they really want to put a cap on the intervention, and so that you only get interventions when it's absolutely necessary and absolutely merited.
Good news, Dion. I'm going to ask you about the football and not the referees.
First time for everything.
Hey, how dare you? John mentioned there, we don't know whether or not we'll see Eberechi Eze in from the start, but from a neutral, you obviously think yes, please.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think he could be that. He could be that difference that Arsenal need. I think he's quite elusive, and I think it would make Liverpool think about, does Virgil go in and squeeze? Does Konate go in and squeeze? It's all about decision making, because he plays in a position that nobody knows whether to go in, stay back. So yeah, it's an important decision for Arteta, and I think he could make the difference, Steve.
And it's an important game as well for many reasons, but just sort of right at the top of that, it kind of feels like what an interesting opportunity to see last season's top two, after not summer rebuilds but summer changes, kind of a state of the nation on both teams.
Yeah, it is. It's you came in and you spoke to the chief and you said this is mouthwatering. It is. It's one of those games where any of these players could be the difference in regards full-backs marauding down right and left side, and centre halves making a great challenge. It's going to be a moment today. I don't think it's going to be a person. I think it's going to be a moment, a deflection, a tackle. Something's going to happen in this game because it's going to be so tight with the amount of quality that's on show. At Anfield, they're always going to be favourites, but if there was a chance over the last 5 or 6 years for Arsenal to come and make a statement at this place, this is it.
Obviously, John, what we would all like is just to see both teams with everybody fully fit going toe-to-toe. Now, you never get that realistically in the Premier League these days. There's always someone. It is a bit of a shame that it's Bukayo Saka that we don't get to see today.
Yeah, I guess so, but this is why Arsenal have set about making the acquisitions that they have to try and bridge that gap that meant that they fell points short in the last 3 seasons. So a heck of a lot of money has been spent, something like £250 million by Arsenal this summer, but really when you look at it, that is on a par and actually not as much as some of their rivals, and it may well be over the course of the next 24 hours Liverpool spend a lot more as well. We'll see about that, but I think a large part of that Arsenal strengthening is to try and make sure they get over the line and win matches like this.
Could have had 250 Dion Dublins for that kind of money.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, they can only play 11 of them. Otherwise, they'd have won the title for sure, wouldn't they?
Lucky?
Right, thank you two. Look forward to talking in much more depth once we're done with the 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Reminder, it's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1, Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 0. Second half commentary on the way in a second. Let's check back in on the Dutch Grand Prix. Harry Benjamin.
Yeah, we've settled into a bit of a rhythm now. The rain not quite coming our way. Piastri still leads this race, looking to take his advantage in the championship fight up to 16 points. But Lando Norris, desperate to try and find a way through, is just 1.2 seconds behind his teammate.
So that one is in full on 5 Sports Extra. On Sports Extra 2, underway in the second half. Forest West Ham, Charlie Slater.
We've just played 2 minutes of this second half and Paqueta has missed a brilliant opportunity, as you threw to me. Bowen's done so well down the right wing, crossed it in at the near post, and Paqueta, almost unmarked, the defender the wrong side, he puts it the wrong side of the post. At the other end, Forest have already had an attempt on target, which is more than they managed in the entire first half. Chris Wood with a header from 6 yards straight at the goalkeeper. Forest 0, West Ham 0.
In the Scottish Women's Premier League, it's finished Partick Thistle 0, Celtic 7. At 4 o'clock, Hamilton Hearts, Montrose, Aberdeen and Rangers Motherwell. In the Scottish Premiership, Dundee lead Dundee United in the Tayside derby by... Dundee United lead Dundee 1-0 in the Tayside derby. We'll keep you up to date with that from Dens Park in the second half. Just getting underway, 0-0 in the games between Aberdeen and Falkirk and Hibs and St Mirren. Right, these are the sounds of the Amex, ready to go in the second half. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Mark Schwarzer and Ali Bruce Ball.
Thank you, Steve. Good timing. Welcome back to the Amex Stadium, everyone. The Brighton players have just emerged from the tunnel just to our right-hand side and going through a little pre-second half warm-up drill. The blue and white little plastic cones are down. One of the coaching staff barking instructions as they do the sprinting, the swerving, the turning and all of that to get going. Manchester City lead 1-0. Erling Haaland with the goal. Really well taken. Actually, I was just thinking about it at half-time, Mark. He could have had 4. The header that was saved by Verbruggen and the other 2 chances where he really didn't catch the shot, did he, either time?
Yeah, no, he had a couple of really, really good opportunities. Yeah, I mean, 4 would have been a push. I would have loved it because he's in my fantasy football team. Yeah. But I think a player of his quality, you'd expect him to have gone in with 2 goals, the chances that he had.
If you're a fantasy football fan, every Wednesday, the FPL podcast from BBC Sport is the one to listen to on the BBC Sounds app. And Chris Sutton started the season well, and he captained Haaland this weekend, which I think might be what Mark has done as well. I captained Mateus Cunha, who went off in the first half without having any impact on the game against Burnley yesterday. So, ouch. Yeah, less pleased about that. Second half underway. Brighton playing from right to left. De Kuyper just loses concentration there, and Bob tries to take the ball off him inside the Brighton half. De Kuyper recovers, plays back to Lewis Dunk, who in turn spins and plays it back to Bart Verbruggen. Verbruggen sees space on the left, looking for De Kuyper. De Kuyper's header finds Mitoma. Forward to Welbeck, back to Mitoma. Rodri there to close the danger down for Manchester City. into the feet of Mateusz Nunes, who is ostensibly the right back for Manchester City this afternoon, but as we've seen, well, as we always see now with them under Pep Guardiola, so often you'll see him popping up in central midfield. Tijani Reinders back to his goalkeeper James Trafford. Trafford under a bit of pressure from Mitoma, takes the ball away to his right, clears up towards Dunk, who gets in there ahead of Haaland. Headed clearance this time from Hinshelwood. Bernardo Silva will chase that. Hinshelwood plays a little 1-2 with Verbruggen, and Brighton should be able to bring it away down the left. Here's Lewis Dunk again. So just got to watch out for the old Haaland against Veltman in the second half, because I think Erling Haaland still feels there's a slight score to settle there after Veltman kicked the ball into Haaland when he was on the floor. Verbruggen out to the right, and then down the right it goes from Veltman, but it's out of play for a Manchester City throw. So let's give you the two team lineups again just at the start of the second half. No substitutes on as yet. Verbruggen in goal for Brighton. Veltman, Van Hecker on the yellow card, Dunk and De Kuyper the back four, Belaber and Hinshelwood in front of them, Ayari on the bench today, Minte, Mitoma and Diego Gomez in support of 34-year-old Danny Welbeck. James Trafford in goal for Manchester City, Mateusz Nunes, Stones, Husinoff and Ait-Nouri their back four, Rodri in front of them, first Premier League start for him in nearly a year, Bob and Marmoush wide, Bernardo Silva and Tijani Reinders, and then Haaland, the goal scorer, up front. Here's Bob bringing the ball forward for Manchester City in the black kit, finds Marmoush, tries to whip a shot in at the near post, heavy deflection, it just spins up and lands in front of Verbruggen, who makes a very comfortable save. So 3 minutes gone second half, Brighton 0, Manchester City 1, and as Steve Crossman was saying at half-time, Mark, Brighton have to find a way to offer a little bit more of a goal threat.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, firstly it starts with them trying to keep possession when they're playing out at the back. We've seen more of the same in these opening couple of minutes of the second half. Brighton are not going to detract from the way they play. They'll play out at the back, they'll look to try and build up, and they've done no differently now, and they're finding it difficult because Manchester City have really set up well and they put a lot of pressure on the ball.
Only 3 teams to win here in the Premier League last season were Crystal Palace, which is one Brighton never want to lose at home, Everton and Aston Villa. They did beat Manchester City here last season, but it's City who lead 1-0 today. And here's Tijani Reinders skipping forward in the inside left channel, wide to Ait-Nouri, back it comes to Husinoff. Abdulkadir Husinoff, the 21-year-old Uzbekistan international, signed from Lens in January. Ball at his feet again, just inside his own half in bright sunshine. Marmoush on the turn, tries to dribble past Minte. Minte is not going to allow that. Marmoush goes down, and referee Darren England says that's a foul and a free kick for Manchester City. There's been some nice touches from Marmoush today, Mark.
There has been, yeah, he's a quality player. I've watched him play a lot in Germany, but at times today you just feel like he sort of kind of played himself into trouble because he's just held on to the ball that little bit too long at times.
Trafford under a bit of pressure on the move, clears with his right foot. Dunk is backpedaling, heads it behind him. Van Hecker is there to cover, and De Kuyper nods it back to the feet of Dunk, and they play it all around Erling Haaland, who can't get anywhere near it. Longer ball forward looking for Mitoma down the left. Nunes intercepts, turns away from Mitoma, up towards Haaland. First time ball back to Rodri. Rodri plays it through to Reinders, doesn't find him. Here's Hinshelwood to Mitoma. Poor pass from the Japanese, has given it to Oscar Bob, and this is danger for Brighton because Bob is on the move inside the Brighton penalty area, trying to beat the defender. De Kuyper did really well, watched the ball all the way, got a foot on it, and Brighton able to play out down the left. Hinshelwood tries to take it round Nunes, it's out for a Manchester City throw. Latest from the City ground, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, Charlie Slater.
8 minutes played in the second half, though we probably didn't play for around 3.5-4 minutes of that because of what appeared to be a medical emergency in the lower tier of the Brian Clough stand opposite us. Fans furiously waving, stopped the game for a few minutes. That person is now being treated to by stewards and medical professionals on the pitch. Still 0-0, West Ham with the ball just outside of the Forest penalty area, pushing for an opener.
Choice of listening this afternoon on BBC Sounds, 5 Live here. As Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Full commentary, though, of Nottingham Forest West Ham on Sports Extra 2. Dutch Grand Prix is on Sports Extra. The cricket, the 100 finals today on Sports Extra 3. The women's final at the moment. Here's Nunes to Rodri. Every Manchester City outfield player inside the Brighton half, passing it around to the right. Nunes brings it in off the right touchline, zips it across to Stones. Stones to Husanov, plenty of space to work with here. Brighton have every single outfield player behind the ball. Reinders, walking pace, out to Ait-Nouri. He lays it off, suddenly makes a dart infield, but Manchester City come back to Husanov. They are toying with Brighton at the moment.
Yeah, they're very good on possession of the ball, aren't they? Manchester City more than comfortable, a lot of movement off the ball. As I say that, they just give the ball away and the foul, and Brighton win back possession. But it's at times that they've just been under control. There's a lot of movement off the ball, which gives them lots of options. Brighton at times have been chasing, not shadows, so to speak, but certainly half a step behind.
Finished Rangers 0, Celtic 0 earlier on in the Scottish Premiership. Latest on Dundee United. Kenny Crawford.
55 minutes gone, still Dundee 0, Dundee United 1. Dundee have brought on a couple of youngsters to try and liven things up. Tony Yogani on loan from Brentford and Cameron Congreve on loan from Swansea City. Dundee 0, Dundee United 1.
Mitoma looking to get on the ball on the left here for Brighton. A lot of work to do here inside his own half, but the Brighton fans always excited when he's got the ball at his feet. This time lays it off to De Kuiper, but labours off balance, nearly lost it to Reinders. Back it comes to Dunk. Dunk across to Verbruggen, Brighton's keeper, not under pressure inside his own penalty area. Good pacey pass to the right to Veltman. Veltman into the feet of Diego Gomez. Turns, sees Mitoma in space again on the left-hand side. Perfect pass. Mitoma brings it down, one-on-one with Mateus Nunes. Drops the shoulder, moves inside. Little back heel here. Was Mitoma caught there on the edge of the box? Play continues. De Kuiper battling for the ball down with the byline. Bernardo Silva shoves him over. Eventually Brighton do get the free kick.
I think the referee was a bit fortunate there because there was a tough one. He allowed play to continue. Mitoma did look like he was fouled, but he allowed it to continue, and in doing so, Bernardo Silva, I think, saves him by giving away a foul.
So, free kick 2 yards up from the byline will come in from the left flank for Brighton. I can see all the fans in the blue and white replica shirts clapping their hands together behind that goal that Manchester City are defending. The pitch is sort of vertically cut in half by shade and shadow now this afternoon. Danny Welbeck's coming over for a word as well with De Kuiper here before Brighton take the free kick. Dunk will be a threat, obviously. He stands on the edge of the 6-yard box. Van Hecker's on the goalkeeper's toes. Hinshelwood in at the near post. De Kuiper could deliver this, so could Diego Gomez. Brighton trailing 1-0, early stages of the second half. Some fans in this stand still making their way back to their seats. Gomez runs over it. De Kuiper into the near post. Ball bouncing around, and it goes behind in the end for a goal kick. And that was pretty harmless from Brighton. Latest on the Dutch Grand Prix comes from Harry Benjamin.
We've already had one Ferrari out into the wall in the form of Lewis Hamilton, and we've now just lost the second Ferrari. Charles Leclerc with big damage after a collision with the Mercedes of Kimi Antonelli. Both Ferraris now out of this race. Safety car is out. McLaren double stacking their cars, both coming into the pits. Oscar Piastri still leads this race from Lando Norris and Max Verstappen third.
Commentary is on Sports Extra. All the reaction after the race on the Checkered Flag podcast, available via the BBC Sounds app. That's where you'll find the Football Daily every day of the week as well. Welbeck's ball through the middle. Gomez racing for it. Husanov. Oh, he's dragged Husanov back. Husanov goes down. Gomez takes it round the goalkeeper, sticks it in the back of the net. I wonder whether he needed to do that, Mark. It was a fair fight. It was a race for the ball. Husanov felt a tug at the shoulder, immediately went to the floor.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball from Welbeck in behind. As the ball gets played in behind, Gomez actually steps across or behind Husanov, doesn't he? And I think he just clips his feet. That's where the foul is. He doesn't pull him back per se. It's just he's trying to get in the inside run on him. And in doing so, he clips his leg, and then Husanov just goes to ground. The referee's really quick to rule as a free kick.
The risk with going to ground there is if the referee doesn't see it as a free kick, Gomez is clean through on goal. By going down, I guess you accentuate the contact. I think that was the right decision. I think it was a foul, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there's enough of contact there that does bring Husanov down, and the referee then in the end makes it a pretty easy decision for him.
Premier League highlights, match of the day tonight, BBC One at 10:30. Here's Nunes. Bernardo Silva in support on the right. Pep Guardiola would love a second goal. A little bit more comfort here for Manchester City. They lead 1-0. Silva to Nunes. Nunes again to Silva on the right. Bob is there as well. Again, it's the old Slow, and then suddenly it bursts into life, and that's where Brighton have got to be wary. Lots of passing around wide on the right. Rodri down the line to Bob, tried to take it past Mitoma, who's blocked him. So that's going to be a free kick, Manchester City.
Yeah, Mitoma's really struggled in this game to get any kind of sort of decent run momentum. First half he had an opportunity to get a good ball in the box. Delivery was poor. Since then, he's not really had the opportunity to either run in behind or use his strengths.
Full commentary on Liverpool-Arsenal in the Premier League coming your way on 5 Live and BBC Sounds at 4:30. Manchester City's next game in the Premier League, actually after the international break, is also a 5 Live commentary. Sunday the 14th of September, the Manchester Derby at the Etihad. So note that date in your diary. Plenty more football coming your way before that. Start of the WSL season next weekend as well. Nunes has made a good run forward for Manchester City down the right. Here's Bob. Bob works it onto his left foot inside the Brighton penalty area. Twisting, turning, teasing, still going. Littleton tried to tee himself up for the shot, and Dunk eventually got the block in. There's a Brighton defender down now. Off the ball, it's Veltman inside the Brighton penalty area. He's down holding his head, so the referee has stopped the game.
Haaland's walking over, holding his arms out.
I wonder.
Didn't see anything. I mean, Veltman's fine.
Yeah.
There is. I think there's nothing in it. I think there's a bit of showmanship going on.
Yeah.
We'll see it. But the referee does. Yeah, you can see Veltman and Haaland are having a bit of a discussion.
Oh, yeah. Little bit of a wrestle, and Haaland sort of thrown him away dismissively to the floor, and Veltman has made the most of that. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Drop ball coming here for Brighton. They're about to make a double change. Next time we get a break in play, I'm going to take you to Anfield because John Murray's got the team news for us. Let's just see what Brighton can do with this first of all. The ball is played up towards Welbeck. Jorginho Ruta, Yassin Ayari. Looks like James Milner, twice a title winner with Manchester City, former Liverpool player as well, of course, is also going to be coming on for Brighton. 4 substitutes coming on all at the same time. That is Mourinho-esque. Brian Gruder, the Germany under-21 international, getting ready to go for Brighton as well. So that is decisive action being taken by Fabian Hürzeler. Team news on the way from Liverpool in a second. Here's Stones playing it to Reinders. Reinders to Nunes. Manchester City well in control of this game. Got a stranglehold on Brighton at the moment. Here's Bob. Bob collects it down by the byline on the right. Silva tries a clever little pass into the channel. Hinshelwood makes a tackle and the ball's gone out for a throw into Brighton in the left-back position. John Murray has the team news. Liverpool-Arsenal.
Just the one change for Liverpool, with McAllister coming into the midfield for Jones, who is on the bench, so Szoboszlai continues at right back, and the now 17-year-old Ngumoa is on the substitutes bench again after his match-winning effort on Monday night. For Arsenal, Odegaard is a substitute. Saka is out, so coming in are Martinelli and Merino. So Eberechi Eza is on the substitutes bench, as is the 15-year-old Max Dowman again.
OK, thank you, John. Dion Dublin alongside John for commentary this afternoon. Kick-off at 4:30. It's followed by 6:06. Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage taking the calls. Here's Haaland for Manchester City. Finds Marmoush in the area. Cross towards Bob. Oh, gets a foot on it and pokes it just wide of the far post. Guardiola, head in hands, knew that was a fabulous chance. It goes behind for the goal kick. 4 changes coming for Brighton. Let's take you to the City ground. Latest on Nottingham Forest West Ham. Charlie Slater.
63 minutes have been played. It's still 0-0, but the rain is pouring, and that has served as some sort of shot of adrenaline for the team in red. Wave after wave of attack. Hudson-Odoi's drawn a save out of the goalkeeper. Anderson has gone close as well. West Ham hanging on by their fingernails as they introduce Callum Wilson into the action. 0-0.
So Brighton making the changes. They're trailing Manchester City 1-0. We're furiously crossing names out, scribbling others down. Let's check in on Dundee United in the Scottish Premiership. Kenny Crawford.
62 minutes gone, still Dundee 0, Dundee United 1, and they've just brought on the visitors a tall striker, Nikolai Moller, signed from St Gallen in Switzerland for his debut, so we'll see if he can have any impact. It's Dundee 0, Dundee United 1.
Danny Welbeck, one of those to come off. So is Diego Gomez. Coming on, Gruder, Ruta, Milner and Ayari, Hinshelwood and Belabor, the other 2 to go off with Welbeck and Gomez. So Fabian Hürzeler makes 4 changes all at once. Brighton trailing 1-0, and Manchester City again putting the squeeze on here. They've got the ball inside the Brighton half. Reinders plays it to Ait Nouri, looks to get that cross in, blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Minte plays it out to Mitoma. Opportunity here, Ruta's up alongside him, Minte hurtling down the middle. Mitoma looking for Minte, takes it in his stride, hits the shot, great save by Trafford, got both hands up, made the block in front of his face, and it goes behind for the corner to Brighton.
Yeah, very positive play from Brighton, really good chance. Minte uses his pace, the ball in behind from Mitoma is really good, into the path of Minte. Minte lets loose with a flying shot, hit it with pace, but it's directed too close to Trafford. Trafford does really well though, stays up, sticks his both arms up and gets the connection. It's a really good save, but I would say Minte has to do a bit better from that position.
James Milner making a 640th Premier League appearance in his career, now just 14 behind Gareth Barry, who holds the record. 5 seasons at Manchester City as well, so up against familiar foe. Corner for Brighton, half an hour to play. In it comes from the left-hand side, headed away by Núñez. Mitoma volleys it high back into the City box. Husanov underneath it for City, nodded forward. Challenge from Milner, wins the header, nods it to his right. The ball eventually goes out for a throw into Brighton, and suddenly the game just feels a little bit different. It's actually just got the crowd into it a little bit as well, the home fans.
Yeah, a little bit more energy since these substitutions have come on. Yeah, they've had that one chance, and I think that's what it is. The minute you see that the substitutions come on, you have a big chance. You feel like a momentum is shifting a little bit, and at the moment, Brighton has certainly got their tails up.
So Gruder floating around up front for Brighton now as they attack down the inside right channel. Ruta, another man dangerous with the ball at his feet. He goes down, bodies everywhere here. City making the challenges, and Husanov is late there. Poor challenge on Minte. Darren England immediately steps in to control the situation. Brighton fans on their feet, baying for Husanov to be sent off. You could sense a desperation there. It was getting a bit rushed and panicked, and the young Manchester City defender gets a yellow card for the challenge.
Yeah, it's a very rash challenge. I mean, it's hard to see. We're watching the replay now. I mean, there's no reason to do the challenge that he's done. It really is. I mean, there's nothing in it. There's not a bad challenge at all. It's just a rash one. Lunges. There's no high studs or anything like that. It's just slightly late, isn't it, on Minte?
So 2 great saves from James Trafford in the game, 1 in each half. Watch those on Match of the Day tonight, BBC One at 10:30. Joe Hart on the panel this evening. As I said in the first half, he'll be on the Monday Night Club tomorrow as well. Free kick for Brighton coming from the right. Still Forest 0, West Ham 0 in the Premier League. Commentary over on Sports Extra 2, and Manchester City leading Brighton 1-0 here. But Brighton just enjoying a decent couple of minutes, having made the 4 changes. Milner hangs deep, waiting for the ball to drop. It's the likes of Duncan, Van Hecker and Ruta who are going to attack this. De Kuyper runs over it. It's drilled towards the far post. Oh, Dunk volleys it against Núñez. Brighton fans appeal for a handball. Referee agrees and says penalty. He points to the spot. The video assistant referee, Paul Tinney's going to have a look as well. It was the free kick, floated across the penalty area. Dunk volleys it at pace, back across goal. It's hit Matheus Núñez, and immediately all the Brighton fans went up shouting handball, and his arm is up. Now it's in front of his face, not away from his body, but well, when I say not away from his body, it's not to the side of his body, but it's up high above his face.
It's 100% a penalty. The question will be, though, is there a foul beforehand? Dunk makes a run, makes a turn and an arcing run towards the far post area. Bernardo Silva goes with him. Bernardo Silva's adamant he's been fouled. I don't think there's enough in that to warrant a foul. I really don't. And Dunk's volley is brilliant, and it's a clear penalty. The arm is raised, he's in an awkward position, and it should definitely be a penalty if it isn't ruled out for the foul beforehand.
That's well spotted, Mark. It's Bernardo Silva who's trying to hang on to Lewis Dunk, who's looking to wriggle his way free to get into that position to hit the volley back across goal. Silva ends up on the floor. He's shaking his head. He's marching back to the halfway line. Referee Darren England has given the penalty, and the decision is confirmed by the video assistant referee. And yeah, Matheus Núñez, you're right, Mark. The arm is thrown out. It's an instinctive reaction that. The ball, I think, would have just hit him in the face. Look at this. James Milner, twice a title winner with Manchester City, recently on as a substitute, experienced penalty taker, steps up now to try and level the game for Brighton against young England goalkeeper James Trafford. James Trafford, 22, James Milner, 39. 12 yards separate them. Trafford on the goal line, Milner with the ball on the penalty spot, and the referee just having a word with both sets of players on the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. The quadruple change by Brighton might have an instant effect. One of those substitutes, James Milner, waits to take the penalty. Darren England is happy now. Trafford moving around on the line. Milner very calmly, hands on hips, waits for the whistle. Here comes James Milner. He scores. Trafford dives to his left. The ball ends up in the opposite corner. James Milner, against his former club at 39 years old, does the business for Brighton. It's Brighton 1, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, very cool, very calm. James Milner, that's what you want. You want an experienced player to step up, take that responsibility. He never looked like he was going to miss, did he? It was a really good penalty. I know James Trafford goes the wrong way, but when you look at the replay, it's right in the corner. It doesn't matter if Trafford goes the right way. I don't think he's saving that. That's a brilliant penalty.
So Brighton 1, Manchester City 1, and well played. Fabian Hürzeler obviously realises, the whole stadium did, the game wasn't going Brighton's way. Changes still taking effect, but it did make a difference to the game. And Milner's equalised from the penalty spot, and suddenly this stadium is alive. 5 Live and BBC Sounds midway through the second half. Still got commentary of Liverpool-Arsenal to come. That'll be followed by 6:06. Manchester City have taken a throw. Next break in play will take you back to the City Ground. There's a choice of listening this afternoon in the Premier League because Nottingham Forest against West Ham is over on Sports Extra 2. Here's Nunes to Rodri. His pass forward is blocked. Rodri goes down, challenged by Ayari. Free kick, Manchester City. They want to get on with it quickly. Rodri drops the ball down. Ayari's standing in front of him. He now backs off, and Rodri's going to leave this for Tijani Reinders. So Manchester City started the season with the 4-0 win at Wolves, beaten at home last weekend by an excellent Tottenham performance. 1-0 up here, the goal scored by Erling Haaland in the first half, but now they've been pegged back from the penalty spot, and they've got 20 minutes or so to try and do something about it. Free kick in the inside right channel, which Reinders is waiting to take. 35 yards from goal. Verbruggen stands a few yards off his line. Referee blows his whistle, and Reinders whips this in with his right foot. Verbruggen comes, takes a clean catch, and walks out to the edge of his penalty area. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. Verbruggen clears long with his right foot. Ball goes high in the air, down the right. Ruta definitely being fouled. There's got to be a Brighton free kick. It's in an attacking position as well. Aït-Nouri is down hurt. We're going to get a delay in play. He was the one who committed the foul, though. Charlie Slater watching Nottingham Forest West Ham.
Less than 20 minutes remaining. The game building to a crescendo now. Callum Wilson coming so close to the opener, just off the bench. His first touch, he beat 2 Forest defenders, hit it, deflected by Murillo. Drew one of the best saves I've seen in this early season so far from Matt Sells. Igor Jesus is now introduced, I think, for Chris Wood from a Forest perspective. Less than 20 minutes remaining. Forest 0, West Ham 0.
Commentary over on Sports Extra 2. Good point here made by our producer Andy Gillies. Last season, Erling Haaland gave Manchester City the lead in November at this stadium. Brighton went on to win 2-1 second half. Both goals scored by second half substitutes. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. 20 minutes to play, but it's Manchester City now who've got to do the defending. The free kick, again, about 30 yards out in the inside right channel. Ayari or De Kuyper to deliver. De Kuyper runs over it. Ayari, again, they look for Dunk at the far post. It's beyond Dunk, it's beyond Nunes. Nunes follows it out down the byline, and it goes all the way behind for a goal kick. Latest on the Dutch Grand Prix, Harry Benjamin.
We've got a safety car once more because it's disaster for Lando Norris. Reports of smoke coming out from the back of his McLaren. He's pulled off to the side of the road and looks to be out of the Dutch Grand Prix. 0 points coming in his way in this championship charge, whilst his teammate looks set to pick up 25 for the win.
Manchester City playing out from the back. Trafford under pressure. Knocks it forward. Marmoush couldn't keep possession for City. Milner plays to Minte. Manchester City now about to make their changes. 2 of them. Jeremy Doku is going to come on and so is Nico O'Reilly. Brighton fancy this, I feel. Dunk long over the top. Gruder is chasing. Husanov on a yellow card. Got to be careful. Gruder gets there first and is forced out towards the corner flag on the right-hand side. Support from Minte. Clever touch. Takes him into the area. Still Minte. Hits the shot. Oh, my goodness me. What a goal that would have been. Trafford at full stretch was worried about that. It's gone behind for the goal kick. But Minte, an absolute box of tricks there, took himself past Aït-Nouri, dropped a shoulder, and the curler was arcing towards that far corner. Mark Schwarzer.
Absolutely brilliant from Minte. I tell you what, firstly, Aït-Nouri, he nutmegs him. As Rodri comes across, he drops a shoulder, leaves him for dead, comes up, opens up from his left-hand side, tries to curl one into that far post area. James Trafford is at full stretch, but the ball was just slightly off the target. Otherwise, it could have easily have been Brighton 2-1 up.
Oh, into the last 20 minutes of the game. Those goal scorers last season, by the way, in the Brighton comeback win. One of them now plays for Chelsea, as so many Brighton players do. That's João Pedro. Matt O'Reilly scored the other goal. He is on the Brighton bench this afternoon. And Brighton in the Premier League actually yet to score from open play, because on the opening weekend against Fulham, it was O'Reilly's penalty that got them the 1-1 draw. They conceded very late in that game, and today, of course, it's the Milner penalty that has got them 1-1 against Manchester City. We've got less than 20 minutes to play of the 90. Minte strong in the challenge here. He's got Aït-Nouri again. He's not enjoying that physical battle. Aït-Nouri complains, back on his feet. Took a whack against Tottenham last week as well, of course. The ball is back with Manchester City's goalkeeper, James Trafford.
Yeah, Brighton's substitutions have been brilliant. They've actually made such a big difference since coming on. Energy and creativity, they've caused Manchester City all sorts of problems.
Stadium's come to life. Brighton have come to life. Reinders to O'Reilly. His first touch, not a good one. Gruder walks in and takes the ball for Brighton. Dunk. Haaland in front of him, plays the ball back to Verbruggen. Verbruggen launches one straight down the middle of the field. A few longer balls in this second half, but they work for Brighton. Ruta makes a nuisance of himself, does brilliantly to win that. Mitoma, infield to Gruder, edge of the penalty area, surrounded by Manchester City players, knocked off balance, and then makes a right old song and dance of that. Twists and turns and rolls and falls. Not quite sure the contact merited that. He's holding his left foot as if he's been trodden on, and the referee, Darren England, is not interested. Brighton fans are booing. Play continues here. I mean, we're not knocking it. Why are we stopping the game?
Well, he did it in the first half, so let's give him credit. He's consistent.
Yeah.
He did it in the first half. Now he's stopping play again. I agree. It shouldn't be. Oh, he's trodden on. He's been trodden on, but again, I don't think.
Okay.
He has been. Husanov's trodden on his foot.
Yeah. He's off. Right. Okay, Mark. Look. Here we go. We'll watch it again on the replay. He's dribbling. Yeah. Husanov puts a right leg out and treads down on his foot. Now, yesterday, Rodrigo Muniz turning, trod down on an opponent's foot, and a goal got ruled out. Gruder's now had his foot trodden on in similar circumstances in the penalty area, and I don't think we're getting a penalty for that.
No, and that's. I mean, let's just wait, because I mean, I'm not sure. Is he going to start resume play? It looks like he is going to resume play. So it looks like they have ruled it. There you go. Off we go.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, and that's the inconsistency. That is the concerning bit of it all.
Marco Silva is going to be sitting at home pulling his hair out, the Fulham manager. Goal at Dundee, Kenny Crawford.
77 minutes gone, Dundee 0, Dundee United 2. A brilliant strike by the Croatian winger Ivan Dolček. Long throw by Will Ferry, only half cleared by Dundee, and Dolček volleyed it in from 14 yards, low into the back of the net. Dundee 0, Dundee United 2.
Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. Next break in play will take you to Lords for the latest on finals day in the 100 women's final first up. But here's Jeremy Doku with the ball at his feet, dribbling for Manchester City. Veltman is backing off his corner of the Brighton penalty area. Passes back to Reinders. Rodri is there to his right. Across it comes to Nunes. Brighton have got back and got the angles covered at the moment. 15 minutes to play. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. Bob down the right. Nunes tackled. It goes out for a Manchester City throw. Reinders thinks about taking that quickly. Nunes takes it off him, throws it to Reinders, and Reinders flicks it back into his own half, and Hertzler is urging his team to get up the pitch and try and close this down. Stones wants help from his goalkeeper Trafford, passes back into his own penalty area. Trafford straight up the middle of the pitch here to Rodri, and Rodri, as ever, very calmly controls the ball and plays Reinders. Reinders gets past Minte, straight up the pitch to Rodri. Rodri crosses the halfway line, sweeps it out to Oscar Bob. Haaland's waiting in the middle. Bob starts to run it to Kuiper, slows down just outside the Brighton area. Now he's into the box on the right, tries to run it past him. Matoma slides in, gets a touch. De Kuiper scoops it away, chested down, and Brighton might be able to come on the break here. Pep Guardiola, water bottle in his right hand, slaps it against his thigh in frustration, and Gruder decides to play back to De Kuiper. De Kuiper to Verbruggen, and Verbruggen, left-footed clearance, not the best, straight at Rodri. Brighton play themselves into a spot of bother. Doku looks like he was fouled there. Referee's going to play advantage. O'Reilly hits one, big deflection. It goes behind for the corner. So to Lords, Atif Nawaz with the latest.
Well, the Southern Brave have come into this match unbeaten in this year's competition so far. Have scored a below par total, 115 for 6 from their 100 balls. The Northern Superchargers will be favourites going into the second half.
Yeah, that's the women's final. Commentary over on Sports Extra 3. Men's final starts at 6 o'clock. Commentary on that one is on Sports Extra. Joel Veltman has been booked here. So Veltman and Van Hecker, 2 Dutchmen in the notebook for Brighton. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. Corner comes in. City player down in the box. Haaland heads it over the bar, much to the delight of the Brighton fans. Mark Schwartz is alongside me.
Yeah, big chance again.
Oh, he's through. Downfield. Referee's blown his whistle.
Oh.
Trafford, what a volley that is. Play had stopped anyway. Verbruggen went quickly.
I'm not quite sure why.
Minte was looking to get onto that clearance. I mean, every Manchester City defender was left behind. Trafford would have got to the ball first, but why were Brighton not allowed to go there? Don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you what, just back to that chance. Haaland, that was a big chance.
Yeah.
He was just outside the 6-yard box. Ball gets whipped into that area. The only thing I'd say, it gets up so high. The only thing I'd say is the ball was possibly that little bit too high and he couldn't get enough control on it. But again, that goes down as a big chance for Haaland.
Bob receives it on the right. Ayari, the young Swedish international, in with the tackle. Bob fouls in. Manchester City getting frustrated. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. Just going back to the, I know the inconsistency, but that challenge on Gruder, having his foot trodden on by Husinov, off balance in the penalty. Do you think that should have been a penalty, Mark, or not?
Well, going by what we've seen over the weekend,
yeah,
it should be a foul.
Right.
I mean, again, going back to the consistency, and if you look at it and you go, well, where else is he going to put his foot?
Yeah.
He actually, when Gruder put his foot down, he put it in an area where you wouldn't have expected him necessarily to put his foot down. And then Husinov comes across and steps on his foot. So, for me, yeah, it's a penalty.
Match of the day tonight. Have a look. BBC One, 10:30. We're going to get a winner in this game, I wonder. Liverpool-Arsenal on the way here on 5 Live. Kicks off at 4:30. Full commentary on the game with John Murray and Dion Dublin. Brighton have been given a free kick. Yankuba Minte's putting in an unbelievable shift for Brighton today.
He's so quick as well. He's just got himself into so many good opportunities because of his pace.
Milner to Ruta. Good pass, finds Mitoma. Mitoma, right-footed curler, that's blocked. Ball bounces loose, edge of the Manchester City penalty area. Ayari back to Dunk. Manchester City 1-0 up, start the second half, were completely dominating this game, absolutely squeezing the life out of Brighton. Hertzler has made the 4 changes, and yes, they got their goal from the penalty spot, but now it is Brighton looking the more likely as they look to attack down the right-hand side, but Gruder is penalised for fouling Ain't Nouri there as he wriggled his way past him. That's going to be a free kick, Manchester City.
Yeah, well, if you're going to grab your opponent with 2 arms and pull him out of the way, the referee's got no alternative other than to give a free kick. Yeah, it was just a bit of frustration there, wasn't it?
So free kick, Manchester City. Just over 10 minutes to play. Still goalless at the City ground. Nottingham Forest, West Ham. Closing stages over on Sports Extra 2. City fans with a chorus of "Come on City" away to our right. Free kick is taken by Husinov. Dunk wins the first header. Falls to Van Hecker, flicks it to his right, volleyed forward by Veltman. Stones underneath it, little header down. Rodri is onto that. Manchester City start to come forward with O'Reilly. O'Reilly in the inside left channel, plays it to Doku. Doku to the feet of Rodri. Rodri across here to Reinders. Reinders 25 yards out. Brighton looking to get the challenges in. Good feet from Reinders, plays it to Bob. Back it comes to Nunes here. Nunes, corner of the box, finds Bob. Bob down by the byline, stands the ball up. Behind it goes for a goal kick. Goal at the City ground. Charlie Slater.
to West Ham, and what a big goal that could prove for Potter and his Hammers. Of course it's Jared Bowen. Crescencio Somerville involved though off the bench, first bit of action in 8 months. He slots it in the direction of Bowen, edge of the box, left-footed, swept into the bottom corner. Forest 0, West Ham 1.
Commentary continues over on Sports Extra 2. West Ham starting today, bottom of the Premier League table on 0 points. Wolves down there with them. Brighton started the day on 1. They might get another one here, but they might possibly get 3. Ruta hits the shot straight at Trafford, got his angles right and makes the save. Mark Schwarzer.
Yeah, decent strike from Ruta there. I don't expect Trafford to get beaten. It's straight at him. Trafford's in the right position, and it's a fairly comfortable save for the goalkeeper. But Brighton certainly a lot more positive, and those impact subs, they've had a big part to play in the change of this game.
Had a funny feeling about that Nottingham Forest West Ham game today. Still time to play there. Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 1. Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage taking the calls on 606 tonight, so they want to hear from Forest fans and West Ham fans as well after that game. Lines will open in the second half of Liverpool-Arsenal. Full commentary on the way. 10 minutes or so to be played here. Manchester City pegged back. Reinders surging forward for City, sees a gap. Mitoma and De Kuyper close it like sort of sliding doors on the tube there, just closed automatically and stopped Reinders in his path. For Bruggen, short ball to Van Hekken, nicely done by Brighton, played out through the gaps. Down the line they go. Here's Minter, got pace. Husanov on the yellow card has got to be careful. Minter has got him back pedalling, almost loses his balance, works it onto the left foot, pass across to Mitoma. Oh, very nearly a brilliant flick to Ruta, just got a little bit too much on the ball. Wasn't the friendliest pass to Mitoma. He nearly turned it into something absolutely brilliant there.
Yeah, it was almost impossible for Mitoma there. The ball was hit with some pace and it was behind him. Mitoma does so well to get the ball in any sort of direction towards Ruta.
Gruder, edge of the penalty area, hits the slow shot and Trafford's down to his left and makes the save.
Yeah, John Stones, a slight deflection as the ball comes through, so I think Trafford does really well. Keeps his eye on the ball the whole time and holds on to it. Good goalkeeping.
James Milner, here's a stat on the BBC Sport website. Who's down there? Is that Husanov down? Husanov down. So yep. I've got time to rattle this off. James Milner is the... Oh, Anna, we've scrolled on. It's gone on. No, go down again, Andy. No, go down. Go down. It's only one. There we go. James Milner. Oh, hang on. Hold fire on the stat. Penalty at the City Ground. Charlie Slater.
86 minutes on the clock. West Ham with the penalty. Lucas Paqueta stood over the ball. There is a VAR check going on to see whether or not there was a foul on Morgan Gibbs-White in the build-up. There can be no question as to whether or not Crescencio Somerville involved again. Oh, how they've missed him while he recovered from hamstring surgery. No doubt that he was fouled by Ibrahim Sangari, cutting in down the left-hand side, bundled to the ground. This check continues to go on as Pawson, the referee in the middle, points to his ear. Maybe come back to me in just a moment.
OK, Charlie, give us a shout as soon as you're ready. We've still got Husanov down in the penalty area here, so you're not missing anything at the moment. Rico Lewis is coming on for Manchester City 2. It's Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. And maybe, just maybe, I've got time to rattle off the stat very quickly before we get back for the penalty. No, I can't. Charlie.
Yep. Lucas Paqueta stands over the ball. The penalty and the on-field decision has been confirmed. Paqueta, big shrug of his shoulders. He takes a huge gulper there, and with his left foot steps forwards, sends the keeper the wrong way. It's a huge 3 points that are forthcoming for Graham Potter. Punches the air inside of his dugout. Lucas Paqueta stands in front of the away end, all of them on their feet, cheering and punching the sky and mirroring their previously beleaguered manager Potter, who now folds his arms and tries to look calm. Nothing calm about this. Oh, how he needed this. Oh, how Nuno Espirito Santo didn't. Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 2.
Massive win for West Ham. It's all over as well. The race is over to the Dutch Grand Prix. Harry Benjamin.
Heartbreak at the end for Lando Norris, forced to retire his car. Oscar Piastri takes 25 points for the win, and he extends his championship lead to 34 points. Verstappen second, and Isaac Hadjar with his maiden podium in Formula One third.
So double change made by Manchester City here. Paqueta with the penalty at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 2. It's going to be West Ham's first win of the season. And finally the stat comes. James Milner, here we go, is the oldest player to score a penalty in Premier League history. 39 years, 239 days. The second oldest to score ever in the competition, behind Teddy Sheringham, who was 40 years and 268 days. There you go. We got there in the end. Forest 0, West Ham 2, Liverpool, Arsenal on the way. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1, and Oscar Piastri has won the Dutch Grand Prix. And Ireland are through to the quarterfinals of the Women's Rugby World Cup with a bonus point win over Spain today, 43-27. Free kick, Brighton. 5 minutes to play plus added time. Rico Lewis, Ruben Dias, both on the field now for Manchester City. Husanov was one of those to come off, and I'll work out who the other one was in a minute. Quite a lot going on in the last few minutes or so. Maxime de Kuyper, Belgian international, ready to take the free kick for Brighton, right in front of us. A lot of pace and height and curl on the ball, all the way to the far post. No, Minte can't keep it in play, and it goes behind for the goal kick.
Yeah, wasteful. Unfortunate for Brighton. They're in really good position. Bodies forward, looking and trying to get a good delivery in the box, put them under a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, just overhits that free kick.
Aït-Nouri. I know Aït-Nouri's still out there, isn't he? Aït-Nouri's still out there. Okay, I'll keep working on that little game. Ruben Dias now out there, though, for Manchester City. Plays it back to Trafford. Trafford's long ball downfield, headed up in the air by Erling Haaland. Lewis came on. You're right, Mark Schwartz. It's Matheus Nunes. Here's Mitoma bringing it forward for Brighton. Support on the right. Left-footed strike from Gruder. That is a really good block by Ruben Dias. He is furious with teammates ahead of him. But Brighton are pressing for a winner here.
Yeah, they really are, and they're on the ascendancy because they've got the extra sort of step and energy going forward. Manchester City at the moment just seem like they're holding on.
And they've won a corner late in the game. My stopwatch tells me we've just ticked over into the 88th minute. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. Another goal at Nottingham Forest, Charlie Slater.
Callum Wilson gets his first West Ham United goal. Brilliant cross into the penalty area from the left wing, 6 yards out. It's the sort of chances he's made a career out of. Heads it low into the turf and it bounces up into the roof of the net. There is a mass exodus here at the City ground. It's Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 3.
Corner comes in for Brighton, in towards the far post. Dunk wins the header. Van Hecker on the turn. Oh, Trafford, acrobatic save to claw it away. Dunk again on the volley. Aït-Nouri heads it straight up in the air. Trafford climbs. Van Hecker's fouled him. Surely Trafford does well to hold on to the ball and keep Brighton at bay. What a save.
Absolutely world-class save from Trafford there. I tell you what, I mean, it looked like it's going to be a goal. It really does. Takes a massive deflection. And as Trafford, he's kind of like has to change his direction as the deflection takes place. The shot's from inside the 6-yard box. Trafford just throws himself to his left-hand side, and it's a left-hand, really strong hand, and flicks it out from the goal. Absolutely world-class.
Nicky Devlin's send-off for Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen Falkirk 0-0 at half-time. It finished Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Mitoma's ball to Gruder. He's in, takes a touch, round the keeper, and scores! Brian Gruder sends the Amex Stadium wild, and Brighton fully deserve that. A brilliant quadruple substitution by Fabian Hürzeler in the second half has turned the game around, and the young German international Gruder kept his head, played in by Mitoma, and they're going to beat Manchester City possibly at home for a second season in a row. Brighton 2, Manchester City 1.
That's exactly what they deserve, Brighton. Absolutely brilliant play. Gruder was the one that puts the ball in the back of the net, but it's a quick turnover. It's the way that, in the end, Brighton attacks. Mitoma's ball through to Gruder. You think maybe it's slightly overhit, but Gruder keeps his composure, takes a touch, beats the goalkeeper and a defender coming back, and then slots it into the open goal. Absolutely brilliant from Brighton.
Well, well, well. James Trafford, Manchester City's goalkeeper, hands on hips on the edge and the penalty area. Opening weekend of the season, fabulous 4-0 win at Wolves, but beaten by Tottenham last weekend, looking to try and reclaim their Premier League title after Liverpool took it off them last season. 1-0 up here through an Erling Haaland goal, and Brighton have turned it around. They lead 2-1. We're in the 90th minute of the game. Brian Gruder, the goal scorer, only his second Premier League goal for Brighton. What a precious one as well. Brighton looking for a first Premier League win of the season. Right, 7 minutes of added time to be played. 7 minutes, for Manchester City to try and find an equaliser. West Ham are heading for their first win of the season, 3-0 up at the City Ground. Commentary continues on that on Sports Extra 2, and we've got full commentary on Liverpool-Arsenal to come. 70-metre race here between Mitoma and Lewis for a loose ball back in the Manchester City half, and Mitoma's bundled into Lewis, and Manchester City will either get the throw or the free kick. They get the free kick. They took a throw, and the referee has said take the free kick.
Yeah, I mean, Mitoma, it's just a race in the end. Lewis is there in front of him, he's shielding the ball. Matoma literally just slides and goes into the back of him. There's nothing in it other than it is a free kick. And Man City are off away again, trying to get back in the game again.
Rodri playing the ball up towards O'Reilly. 17th Premier League game between Brighton and Manchester City. Previously, Brighton had only won 2, one of those last season. This could be a third win for Brighton in the Premier League against Manchester City. Fans are going to roar them all the way to the finish. They're leading 2-1. Milner's penalty and Gruder's goal. But there's some pressure to come surely from Pep Guardiola's team. Stones on the ball inside the Brighton half. Pass to Bob. Bob back to Stones. 10 yards inside that Brighton half on the right. Bob receives it again wide. Can't get that pass through to Kuiper. Has to come back to Stones again. 2 minutes of the added time have gone. 5 minutes still to play. Full commentary following here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds on Liverpool-Arsenal. Doku trying to get away down the left. There's Minter again doing the defensive job for his team. Not only runs Bob off the ball, but very cockily just holds his left hand to his left ear, as if to say to the Manchester City fans, I can't quite hear you there, as Brighton get the goal kick.
He has not stopped, has he? He's been relentless, Minter, for this Brighton side. Well, it's going forward, most of it's been going forward, but he's also, when he's needed to, he's come back and defended really well, like he just did then.
Well, if you want a blockbuster finish, could do worse than getting a player with the surname Coppola on the field. Diego Coppola, centre-back, signed from Verona in the summer. Looks like he's about ready to come on. Puts the bright yellow bib back on, not just yet. Brighton 2, Manchester City 1. What a change in the game as well, Mark. What a change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the fact is that, Manchester City did enough in the first half to find themselves 1-0 ahead. Could have easily been more had Haaland taken those chances. And at 1-0, you're still in the game, right? So Brighton at home, second half sort of started off the same way without City really trying to go for the jugular. And they were just more comfortable in the game.
Mitoma gets his pass forward here to Ruter. Brighton looking for a third. Ruter inside the penalty area. Curls the pass to the Kuiper, stands it up in the air. Not quite sure what he was trying to do there. I thought he might try and hit that first time. The ball's then hit him on the shoulder from the Manchester City clearance. And here's Bob, but he's deep inside his own half, looking for the run of Lewis. Will not get there first. Dunk does and just whacks the ball downfield. It goes behind for the goal kick. Match the day tonight, BBC One, 10:30. One of the things to look out for there, I didn't see it in the James Milner celebrations, but very poignantly and fittingly, a bit like Mo Salah on the opening weekend of the season, I believe he mimicked Diogo Jota's famous goal celebration, and I can understand exactly why James Milner would do that. And he now, look at him, midfield general, look at him out there at the moment, directing operations, talking to Maxime de Kuiper, talking to his teammates around him. Minte is down. I mean, that is it Minte? That's probably sheer exhaustion, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's Minte, yeah. He's the one that's down at the moment, whether it's, I think they're trying to work on his groin area, I'm not really sure. If it's just the exhaustion, probably is, because he's just run all game.
Coppola comes on for Minte then, and it's full-time at Dundee. Kenny Crawford.
Dundee 0, Dundee United 2, a first derby win in 3 attempts for the Tangerines, who always looked in control of things today. Zach Sapsert with a neat finish for the first one on 14 minutes, then Croatian Ivan Dolcek on 77, lashing in a volley. Dundee 0, Dundee United 2.
Finished Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Highlights of the Scottish Premiership action on BBC Scotland tonight at 7:15. Minte, standing ovation, thoroughly deserved. Incredible effort from him today, and Fabian Herzler makes sure he gets over to congratulate him and give him the high five. This isn't done yet, though. Still a couple of minutes of added time to be played, and I think we'll go a little bit beyond that as well.
Yeah, Brighton have switched now to a back four with Coppola coming on. You can see there's just a bit of reshuffling going on, and they're looking to try and see this game out.
Lewis under pressure from Root. Oh, Lewis did really well there. Dummied the clearance down the line, turned and just got away from Ruta and now finds his pass as well to Ait-Nouri on the left-hand side. Ait-Nouri, ball at his feet. Brighton just backing off. Doku with the silky skills. Decides not to take his man on this time. Plays back to Rodri. Chip ball into the area. Van Hekken climbs only as far as Haaland hits it on the half volley. Miles wide, turns into a pass out left to Doku, who is onside. Doku running at Veltman, plays it back to the edge of the box. Rodri again gets that cross in. Header from Reinders just wide, but it took a deflection on the way through. But the offside flag is up.
No, he's
away
given a
to our
free
right.
kick.
Free kick.
Yeah, he's given a free kick against Erling Haaland. There's a bit of coming together in the half, in the 18-yard box, and he just shoves to Kukla out of the way.
Well, you can hear the noise inside this stadium. Incredible turnaround in the second half. And Pep Guardiola is pensive, hands thrust deep in pockets. Last season did not go the way he wanted. The only trophy won, Community Shield, right at the start of the season, third in the Premier League table. And at the start of this season, it's going to be back-to-back defeats unless they can find a dramatic late equaliser. Full-time whistle is blown at the City Ground. Charlie Slater.
Forest 0, West Ham 3. All 3 goals coming in the final 10 minutes. Crescencio Somerville, a big part of 2 of them. The first one, Jared Bowen. The second one, a penalty that was converted by Lucas Paqueta. Callum Wilson got his first Hammers goal shortly thereafter. Big relief for Graham Potter. But those clear the air talks between Nuno Espirito Santo and the owner might be a bit more tense now. It's finished Forest 0, West Ham 3.
Chris and Robbie will want to hear from you on 606 tonight. They want to hear from Brighton fans, Manchester City fans. You can hear the Brighton fans singing here inside the stadium. Brighton lead Manchester City 2-1. They did it to them last season. Haaland scored in the first half. They scored 2 second-half goals through substitutes, and they have done it again today. Milner with the penalty and Gruder with the late goal. Manchester City with the free kick. We're beyond the 7 minutes of added time. You can hear the whistles ringing around the stadium. O'Reilly surging forward for Manchester City. Players in the blue and white striped shirts desperately chasing back. Here's Doku. Doku, corner of the area, lays it back to Reinders, tees himself up for a shot, hits it low, it's wide. Verbruggen had it covered, and a huge roar of relief goes up around the stadium. And I saw Fabian Herzler just go over to Simon Hooper there and say how long left, and he looked pretty satisfied with the answer.
Yeah, it can't be long left at all. I mean, there's not been a lot of stoppages. Yeah, there was 1 or 2 times Minter went down injured, but then he came off. So maybe another 30 seconds or so, but I can't imagine it'd be much longer than that.
Bart Verbruggen is taking his time. Beaten by Haaland in the first half, who could have had a hat-trick. Manchester City couldn't get themselves further ahead. They've been punished in the second half. 32-year-old Fabian Herzler with the quadruple change, still applauding his troops to greater efforts. Ruta jumps to win the header, and there it is. Brighton with a famous win, their first Premier League win of the season. They beat Manchester City 2-1. Back-to-back defeats for Pep Guardiola's side, and a massive pat on the back, not only for the Brighton players, but for the bold quadruple change made by the manager in the second half. 2 of those substitutes scored the goals. James Milner from the penalty spot, and Brian Gruder, cool as you like, on the break late on, got the pass from Itoma, took it round James Trafford and slotted it home. What a win for Brighton.
Yeah, massive win for Brighton. I tell you what, they stuck at it, didn't they? They stayed in the game. They were very frustrated in that first 45 minutes. Manchester City seemed to have had them at their game, didn't allow them to play out too much, put them under a lot of pressure, forced errors, and from that point onwards they stayed in the game. Yes, City could have easily have been ahead by quite a few goals at half-time, but they weren't. Means they're still in the game, and there's every opportunity then that anything can happen. In the second half, the substitutions changed the game. Fabian Herzler making 4 subs, that changed everything.
Brighton players all over Brian Gruder in particular. That's the thing, you score a winning goal and everyone's whacking him round the back of the head to celebrate, and he's thinking, just hold on, I want to enjoy the moment. Stadium erupts and the Brighton players are staying out there to enjoy it all, Mark.
What was really interesting after the final whistle, Pep Guardiola did not go to the Brighton bench at all, or to the coaches to shake hands. He walked straight on the pitch. Fabian Herzler went to go towards him, but Pep Guardiola kept walking away, so there's no love lost between the 2 benches, that's for sure.
Big win for Brighton and a big win for Fabian Herzler. Gets one over Pep Guardiola again. They beat them here 2-1 last season. They've done it again this afternoon. Full time at the Amex. Brighton 2, Manchester City 1.
Mark Schwarzer, one of the most remarkable things about James Milner is not only has he just become the second oldest scorer in the Premier League, he's also still the second youngest scorer in the Premier League from that goal he scored at Sunderland all those years ago. I think we'll miss him when he's done.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what an absolute legend of the game. I mean, you got to give him credit for, longevity, fitness. I mean, he looks so lean, so fit. And he came on today and did a very, very good job. Fantastic penalty, really was a good penalty. And when you need your experienced player to step up at key moments, he obviously didn't shy from it. He stood up, he was there, and it was a fantastic penalty.
Huge for Brighton to get their first win of the season just before the international break. Just watching Erling Haaland walk off the pitch now. From a City perspective, though, Mark, having started so brilliantly the new Premier League season with that 4-0 win at Wolves, those back-to-back defeats, particularly this one, that's back down to earth, isn't it?
Very much so, and also it's back to not the drawing board, but there are a lot of questions still about this team, about Pep Guardiola. Is he going to turn things around? He's never been in a situation like this before. It just seems at times it's getting deeper and deeper, this hole.
Huge win for Brighton then. Mark, Ali, thank you both very much indeed. Gruder just doing a little tour of the pitch there with a couple of fans in the stadium with his name and number 8 on the back of their shirts. So, Brighton 2, Manchester City 1, Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 3. What a huge victory that is for them, desperately needed by Graham Potter and his team. Wonder what happens next with Nuno Espirito Santo. There'll be loads to get into on 606, which follows Premier League Sunday at 7 o'clock. Between now and then, of course, we've got Liverpool versus Arsenal in full at Anfield in just under half an hour's time. Lots of other great live sport going on, including the final of the Women's 100, Atif Noir's.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's quite neck and neck at the moment, with the Southern Brave trying to defend a low total of 115. Northern Superchargers need 116 to win this match, and they've started well. They're on 41 for the loss of 1 wicket. In fact, made that 45 for the loss of 1 wicket. They've just hit another boundary. 28 balls in. They need another 71 from 72 to win this game and become champions.
That one's on Sports Extra 3. The men's final, Oval Invincibles against Trent Rockets, will be on 5 Sports Extra from 6 o'clock. What about the European Masters Golf? Ian Carter.
Matt Wallace, it seems, running out of holes for a successful title defence. Just missed a really good chance of a birdie at the par 3, 16th, 3 under on the day, 20 under overall. That's 2 shots behind his playing partner, Tristan Lawrence of South Africa. He holds a 2-shot lead with 2 holes to play. The clubhouse lead held by Rasmus Højgaard after his round of 62 today. Luke Donald will love to see that. He's at 20 under par. Matt Fitzpatrick is 4 behind as he plays the 17th, only 2 under on the day.
Thank you very much, Ian. Let's go to New York next. Katie Smith, former British number 1, Annabelle Croft, both there for us at Flushing Meadows. Good afternoon, guys.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
Oh, very good, thank you. Always a pleasure. So we've got the US Open tennis commentary from 4:30 on Sports Extra 2. Carlos Alcaraz versus Arthur Rinderknecht on Arthur Ashe, Katie. That's the highlight, I guess.
Oh, it's going to be a cracker. Carlos Alcaraz has been in sublime form so far, hasn't dropped a set through to the 4th round. And I think the one accusation you could maybe lay at his door sometimes, Steve, in the early stages of Grand Slams is he just gets a little bit bored and he goes off the boil, and sometimes he drops sets and sometimes he loses focus. But it looks like he is really dialed in, lost that Wimbledon title to Jannik Sinner in the last Grand Slam outing that he had this year. Previous to that, won that epic at Roland Garros. So I get the sense, Annabelle, that Carlos Alcaraz is really in business mode. All being said, he's having fun out on the court. He looks like he's enjoying himself with the worst haircut we've ever seen. So, a bit of everything.
Yeah, that seems to be the focus of everyone's imagination at the moment, is talking about his haircut, but you're spot on. I feel like he is very mentally dialed in. He's playing very efficient, clinical tennis, but he always has that creative artistic flair on the court, and I think we're seeing that joy again. He's had some moments during his career where he's been very honest about sort of not always enjoying himself, feeling the pressure of all the expectation that's on his shoulders to try to kind of match the careers of Nadal and Federer and Djokovic. But so far what we've seen is all smiles but businesslike at the same time.
Is basically what we do now, Annabelle, because of how good Sinner and Alcaraz have been. Basically just look at it and say, oh, well, Sinner dropped a set yesterday. How is he looking versus Alcaraz? Rather than really talking about their opponents round by round.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, it does feel as if all the conversation is about those two, and it's about, let's hope that we get that heavyweight clash at the end of the tournament, and it definitely feels like that. So, we're just very focused in on what they're doing on the court, whether they're playing up to scratch, and are they perfection that we all seem to expect all of these players to be.
Although that being said, we've just been having that conversation, Annabelle, haven't we, about Artur Rinderknecht, who plays Alcaraz today, who they had this incredibly interesting meeting a couple of years ago at Queen's before Alcaraz went on to win his first Wimbledon title, where Rinderknecht was very close, a tiebreak away, a few points away from beating Alcaraz, and it almost feels like that could have been a turning point moment. Very different story.
Yeah, I absolutely think that was the first time I'd ever seen Rinderknecht play, and also at that stage in Alcaraz's career, he hadn't really played a lot of grass court tennis, and it was an incredible battle. 7-6 in the final set, nip and tuck all the way. Alcaraz scraped through it, went on to take the title at the Queen's Club, and then went springboarded into Wimbledon to win his first Wimbledon title. But who knows what might have happened had he not won that match, because I think that was a bit of a turning point, and it gave him all that confidence, his confidence and ability on grass, and everything the rest is history. But he is very wary of facing the Frenchman again today.